the small scale version before we start getting into animal cruelty. All right.
Before the
Where's
vivisection and the rats and the...
right? Like, where's the small scale version to say, you know what, we want to get this thing up really high, and this place up really really high. Really doesn't have much to push off, does it? And we just need to make sure that our rockets here in normal Earth's atmosphere, right, will do the same up there.
I mean, they test hundreds and hundreds of rockets, I would imagine, right? I mean, I don't know. I've not seen anything how they tested the V1 or the V2. I've not seen how they tested Gemini rockets. I do know how they tested some of the things like the moon lander and all that sort of stuff. So a little bit about that.
Well, apparently the first man to space was 1961. So
Yuri Gagarin.
Yuri.
Not an American. And the first object in
the original thing was done at...
I didn't say he was American.
No, I'm just saying it was like the Americans are like...
Oh, yeah, he was a Russian.
Yeah, they ignore Yuri Gagarin. They ignored him for a while.
He's not a guy over.
The testing for many of those rockets were done at Los Alamos Laboratory through their rocket sled track and program.
Okay, I have a Glober conspiracy theory for you guys. The conspiracy theory that some Globers came up with is there was actually like many more people that went to space. It's just they blew up and had fiery, horrible deaths before they actually started like televising it.
We have no idea how many cosmonauts made a one-way trip.
Yeah, we really don't actually. That's true.
Especially with Russia.
Yeah, could have been. It's the same with China. We don't know. We don't know. We only know the publicized stuff that we can track. We don't know all the failures. It's a shame. We're back to Russian days, except everyone seems to love China.
Wait a minute. We were looking this up the other night, and because I was asking how many men died trying to land a man on the moon. And the answer, nobody knew, except the answer is 0 if you count going into space and actually making it to the moon and coming back. Like, it's a perfect success rate of all the 6 trips. No one's died in space except for 3 cosmonauts, they claim on Wikipedia. And that was from docking at the space station, and something happened with the cabin, they say.
All the men that were part of Apollo 1 were killed.
Gus Grissom.
Wait, what?
I can't remember the other two.
The first Apollo men. They all died.
You mean the ones that died when it was oxygen, pure oxygen inside, and it blew up? Right. Yeah, they never even took off.
So they didn't make it to space. Yeah, they didn't make it to space, so they didn't qualify as dying in space if you died on Earth.
Yeah, but nobody didn't say dying in space. So how many men did it take to die to get to the moon? You said how many men had to die for them to get to the moon?
You didn't hear the rest of it. I said I'm talking about being in space, and going to the moon and coming back. Once you're in space, there's only been 3 people they claim to have died in space, quote unquote. And it was from docking at the station and coming off, and something happened with the cabin pressure or something like that.
Yeah, most people die on the.
No one has ever died. It's been a perfect record. No one has ever died in these supposed moon trips, right?
So how's that Apollo 1 suit right there? That thing got fucking destroyed. I just posted a picture in the chat, but that looks like it was a nasty blast, bro. Look at the fucking shit.
Yeah, this is the guy that died, hung a lemon on the outside of it and was trying to blow the whistle on the whole thing. Conveniently, he got killed. You know about that, right, everybody?
No, what happened? Look, dude, the inside is fucking charred. What exactly? I don't know the story, but this shit looks like it fucking backfired hard.
Gus Grissom was the one that, or not Gus Grissom, or is it Gus Grissom? Yeah, the guy that hung the lemon on. Yeah, that hung the lemon on the outside of the rocket because he figured out it wasn't going to. Or at least that's the story or the implication.
That's just, well, the implication is maybe not that. Maybe there's another reason, but I don't know.
Also, you mentioned Yuri Gagarin. I made this little thing up with Yuri Gagarin. I'm sorry. On the left side are all pictures of Neil Armstrong, and on the right are Yuri Gagarin. I'm not saying they're the same person, but I'm saying it's almost more of a coincidence if they're not the same person.
They're the same crew cuts. All military men had the same crew cuts at that time.
No, it's not about the haircut. Look at the face. It's like very, very close.
They look very similar.
What
the fuck?
I hope you're saying
Neil Armstrong and Yuri Gagarin. Just happens to be the first man in space as well as the first man on the moon. Happens to look almost exactly like the person.
This is
great.
It's probably the same. It's probably the same actor for both roles.
Probably, maybe. I mean, it would be more of a coincidence if they weren't the same person and they just happened to look alike, right? But maybe they're brothers. Maybe they're twin clones or something. I don't know.
I hope that conspiracy theory gets more popular. That'd be great.
Well, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just a very crazy coincidence. You could at least agree about that, right?
No, I'm very familiar with both men look like.
There are no crazy coincidences when it comes to Globers. It has to be
the two
globe theory. No coincidence.
It's fine if they're two different people. It's still crazy how much they look alike. At least you have to acknowledge that. They look a lot alike. You can see that.
Where are you getting this stuff?
Are you saying they're so dissimilar? You're saying they look very dissimilar, not at all.
Look two different men from two different countries that spoke two different languages.
Right, but they don't look alike. You're saying they don't look alike.
I'm saying they don't look alike.
Okay, then that's cognitive dissonance.
That's not cognitive dissonance. Everything is cognitive
dissonance. Here's the thing, dude. It's like these globe earthers think that they're like the champion of logic, but then I always see them being a logic, having cognitive.
They can't even admit it's crazy coincidence.
They can't even admit.
They're not allowed to think outside of the narrative.
They can't even admit something that's even like subjective. Like, do these guys look similar? They can't even admit that. That's how ridiculous they are.
It's ridiculous.
They can't even acknowledge the obvious. Those two guys look alike. I'm not saying they're the same men. I asked if they look alike. I'm not saying they're the same men. I'm just asking if they look alike. Can you objectively say that?
You're implying they're the same men.
No, I'm not. I'm saying
they can't even admit that.
They're not. It's a crazy coincidence how much they look alike. That's all I'm saying. That they both happen to be pioneers. First man on the moon, first man in space. They happen to look a lot alike. Objectively, you have to say it's crazy how much they look alike. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you can't admit that if you're a Glober. It has to be that they're different people and they don't look alike. Because
they don't look anything alike. Yeah, even though they look a lot alike, obviously, objectively.
Some of them do. Some of them don't.
News broadcasts where they're all saying the same thing. Like that's what it's kind of like.
It seems like
No, it is.
But
it is.
I credit you for having objective reasoning.
But like not allowed to have
something. Stuff that they're putting on us. He's objective about a lot of stuff, and I'm surprised he can't at least say objectively these guys look alike.
I can say
regardless. I'm not saying
don't look alike.
They don't look alike. No similarities between these two men.
That is fucking hilarious. That should show you all you need to know.
They don't look alike. That's
ever seen.
Well,
yeah.
New perspective. New perspective. No, let me give one sentence to new perspective. New perspective. Go grab 2 pictures of these individuals and see if he can. Could have done a blind test. We could have caught him in the act. Like, oh yeah, look at this, bro. Next time, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a blind test. This motherfucker can't go back on his word and fucking say shit.
That's just dumb.
Mm-hmm. That's all right. He'd
have some damage control prepared for that.
Obviously, he's just defending the globe rather than trying to be objective.
After all this time, you still have to.
The point is to show that you're not being objective. You're just trying to defend the globe.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that that's absurd. It is, and there are limits to the amount of absurdity
that you happen to look alike. It's absurd to say that they look different if they look very similar. That's what I'm saying.
All I'm saying is that there are limits to the amount of absurdity you can be subjected to and keep your cool. That's all I'm saying.
It's not absurd to say they look alike. They obviously do, objectively. They look a lot alike. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, it's absurd to claim they don't look alike. And I bet you if we did a blind study, you wouldn't even fucking notice the difference. It's just that you have this preconceived notion because you're in a flat earth server and debating that you can't concede any point, even if it is reasonable.
You don't know me. You haven't been in the conversations I've had. I've conceded many points.
I've been here all day and I've seen you not concede to ridiculous fucking things. So yeah, I have seen enough.
You can ask Bandy. I have. So
Yeah, he has actually. There are similarities in those pictures. You'd have
It
to
would be
say
absurd to say that there aren't any.
similarities.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
I lost my cool there. Sorry.
Yeah,
All right.
there are similarities in the pictures,
Like
not
strong,
necessarily.
uncanny almost similarities. Uncanny almost.
What is the?
I would go uncanny. And I don't know about that.
Well, if you saw a photo of me and my brother right next to each other, Hugh, right, there's similarities. Right?
Well,
We're not
what's the
same person.
dissimilarity then? I mean, if you're
Right,
saying it's
but
dissimilar, what's the
It's
dissimilarity?
drawing the conclusion that it's there's something afoot here. Look at these two men; look very similar.
There you go.
There's something going on.
Well, you don't
no,
need,
that's
you
what
don't need to see
that.
something going on. All you have to do is be truthful and admit that they look similar. We don't need you to go the extra mile and say something's going on. We don't need you to expect. You could say they just look similar and that's a coincidence. But the thing is, you can't concede it for some fucking reason. I don't get it, dude. I really don't get why you can't concede shit that's reasonable. Just because
I don't think he wants to concede it because he doesn't want to go where the logic that we're. He doesn't want to go with the logic. He doesn't want to go with the logic and the conclusions that we're inferring. And so he's like, we're not even going to go there. If I have to go down there with that conclusion, I'm just going to act like I don't see it and not even go there. So I think he's avoiding the obvious conclusion from our side based off of what we're inferring and drawing from it and saying, you know what, we're not even going to go there. If you're saying that it looks similar and this is the conclusion, then we're just not going to go there either. And I think that's what he's saying.
And it discredits other arguments you have if you can't point out, at least agree to the objective, obvious.
I'd say that's
observation.
I'd say that's dishonest though. If you're basically disagreeing with what you actually think, just so that the other side can't make their point, I would say that's just
all the time. Don't feel like
it's quite fine. It's quite fine, Hugh, to say that. Yeah, the photos look similar, but now to suggest that these people are the same person, that's absurd. That's a fine stance to take.
Right, that's all.
But to say that they don't look similar because of the inference that they are the same person, well, that's being a little bit disingenuous as far as I'm perceiving it myself.
Yeah.
Because I know exactly what you're doing, because you don't want to link the two, but you can say they do look similar, but to say they are the same, that's totally absurd. You're in la la land, whatever words you want to use after that. That's a fine stance to take. We're not going to disagree with that whatsoever.
And I can even agree that there's dissimilarities between the two, and maybe they I mean, I would almost have to bet that they came from the same family at least. At least, I mean, maybe they had a little plastic surgery and it's the same guy, maybe, but it's almost more of a coincidence if they're not the same person. Do they just happen to look almost identical, or at least like brothers? And they happen to be the first man on the moon and the first man in space. It's a pretty crazy coincidence. We have to at least agree.
But if Hugh feels they don't look similar, like why is that an issue?
Have you seen someone say, "Oh, this person looks like that"?
I don't trust that's a genuine answer, though. That's the thing is, I don't trust that's a genuine answer.
If you don't trust that's a genuine answer, that is your problem. That's not Hugh's problem. Hugh feels they don't look similar, and that's his honest opinion.
I've seen pictures of both for years since I was a child. I mean, I'm 58.
If you feel his judgment is off, that's fine. But that is the problem. This is a judgment question. Saying if they look alike or not, it's not a fact of nature. It's someone's opinion. It's up for judgment. Somebody could look at them and legitimately say, "I feel they don't look alike."
And you know what?
Yeah, but the problem is when Hugh says he feels they don't look alike, you guys jump to all these other conclusions. Oh, you're just saying that because you don't want to concede this, that,
he pretty much admitted it was because of the implications. Nate, he admitted that it was because of the implications behind it. He said that. So
did you admit that, Hugh?
No, actually, I added that, but I didn't say that was reasonable. I've seen footage of both men.
Take another close look and just say, do these guys look similar or not? Just give your honest answer right now. Do they look similar? That's all. It's not about if they're the same person. Just do they look similar?
They're both dudes, white dudes. No, I don't think they look similar. I mean, someone was in a.
All right,
I think
that's fine. I accept that. I've had this happen.
Someone did this side by side.
I've been surprised at other things before, and people didn't have any kind of motive behind their reasoning. I've compared pictures before, and I see they look very similar. I think they're the same person. Other people can't see it, so that's fine. I accept your answer. if that's your honest answer.
Good.
True
SC,
test
you
need to
there?
show.
You there, SC?
Yeah, I'm here.
I think Kosho made a GIF especially for you in the chat. Did you see it?
Yeah, well, I saw his. He fell a little short though because he didn't address the water.
Hello, water.
That would be the water, though. We're looking at the surface.
Well, somehow
Silly,
you
man.
guys think that you can look out, draw a straight line, and somehow that's the drop.
In his little thing, the I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know how to tell you.
I said it.
You're
I said it in
lost
very few words. Clearly, I distinctly showed you the two lines. I showed you what drop is referencing. Drop is referenced from the horizontal. I showed you what the hump was in reference to. The hump is in reference to the line of sight between the two observers, and there being a hump between them. These are two different lines. They're referencing two different, phenomena. One's an obstruction, one's a drop. I showed you what they both mean, what they both look like, and how they both exist, in real life on a sphere. Would be on a sphere, and I don't see where there would be any disagreement there.
Yeah.
It's the water. You didn't address the water.
What about the water?
The water in your model is a sphere, and it constantly drops all around.
Yeah.
So now, just by drawing a line and saying it extends into space and you look one way, doesn't change the water. The water always remains the same. But in your model, you have both a drop. It drops automatically from all people, and then it creates a hump. Can't have that. Because when you observe the water, it doesn't do that. Now, you can look at it different ways and claim that, if from this perspective it looks like a drop, and from that perspective it looks like a hump, but that doesn't change the actual physics.
Yo, can I ask a question, and then you have like a couple seconds to answer, Q? Or do you actually? I don't know. I don't think you'll actually be able to answer it directly. Never mind.
Who are you asking? SC or what?
What sort of a question?
Oh, him. Okay, my bad. You said Hugh. Okay.
Oh, there was nothing inappropriate. I was just gonna get your opinion on something, but I don't know if you're actually gonna answer it like directly or not.
If you're going to imply that my answers are going to be anything less than honest, then don't ask.
Okay. Well, you can just. Would you be, confident saying like, a binary answer, or would you just be confident saying whatever you want?
What now?
Do you ever watch any Jordan Peterson? He answers the right questions, and so I feel that is all I can do. I don't answer questions I don't think are well formed or are dishonest. That's the wrong word, but dishonest, if you know what I mean. Trying to get me to say something that I'm not implying the meaning. I don't mean that in an insulting way, though.
Well, I just have a little test for you, and I would like to do it. But I don't know. I feel like you're just gonna not answer it, and it's gonna be pointless, and I'm gonna waste my time.
Well, we already agreed that this is a waste of time.
Yeah, you might just ask it.
Ask away. It's fine. Ask away, man. It's all good.
I'm just gonna ask you at 6:36. Who's who in the picture I just posted in the main chat?
Oh gosh,
you can answer in less than 5 seconds. Then I know you're not cheating and going back up.
Hold on. Are you seriously testing me? Is that important? All right, hold on.
Come on, time's ticking. Each second, you're more likely to cheat.
Yeah, and you could also add, who's the guy at the bottom there?
What's your problem, dude? I'm testing him right now, you shit.
Yeah, and at the bottom, I got another one.
Okay.
Well, no more. You left or right? Who's who? All right,
Which
10.
pictures? Where?
There's 2 pictures right by each other, posted by me, not New Perspective. Just look at the side by side. Who's who? 10.
I'm trying to find
7.
where they are. Hold on.
One's Neil Armstrong and one's Yuri Gagarin. Which one's which? And then right below that, which one is which one is?
Dude, I tagged you in the picture. Just press on the tag and you'll go directly up to the picture. What's up?
Okay, the bottom one is.
It took too long to answer. You're not
Good
being.
The bottom one is definitely what?
Or both. You said nothing. So you're being. No, he's cheating. He's going back up to other pictures and
the bottom one is which?
Let him answer.
Let him fucking answer.
You're so intent on trapping people. Good grief.
No, you just shown that you both you can do it. You're dishonest. You can't answer the question directly.
No, because you flustered me. I couldn't even think of the NASA astronaut's name for 3
Neil Armstrong or Yuri Gagarin.
Thank you. Armstrong is the one in the big picture. New Perspective posted that. And the other 2 are Gagarin.
Both of them?
Both of them?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Can I have a crack, Dave?
Sure. Did you read what Kosho posted first, or did you think of that?
No, you did.
Dude, I'm looking at the pictures.
30 seconds. Kosho ruined it. Fuck you, Kosho. Fuck you.
I can take a screenshot.
I mean, they have similar hairlines. Like they have the same widow's peak. Although on the right one, he has like a little bit of a
it's the uniform that gives it away.
I'd just like to say Kosho's a bitch.
I haven't looked at anything Kosho's typed.
Says the guy who comes into a conversation about something else to do a petty test.
Shut up. Shut up,
the
bitch.
pettiest of all tests, right? It's all good stuff.
You ruined it. You can't.
Kosho, wait, hold on. Kosho, do you think those guys look similar?
I think the guys that are the same person look exactly the same, and the guy below him looks different.
No, I'm asking.
I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference. I think they have similar features, but I think there's.
I know.
I know. I'm answering. If you don't want to know the answer, don't ask the question.
You said they look.
You don't want to know the answer, don't ask the question.
Anything.
Kosho sabotaged.
You don't want to know the answer.
We all know Kosho sabotaged.
One at a time, guys.
Dude, if you want to have a private conversation with Hugh Jazz, you can go on a fucking private date with him, right?
Listen, you know what you did.
I put it in the chat, man.
You know what you did. There's no. You don't need to explain yourself. You know. We all know. You don't need to explain yourself. Everyone saw. That's it.
Yeah, everyone saw. You came in like a little girl.
You purposely sabotaged it. Good job.
Ask him a question that was
everyone
not outside of what we were talking about.
Everyone. Is there anyone watching this? I'm checking the YouTube. Hang on.
I don't actually think that was a fair test.
In 10 years, 1 million people will have seen this.
Okay, Kosho put the top 2 are both Yuri. Okay, I would agree with that. And the bottom one, that is definitely Armstrong. You can tell the mouth is different. But
just the mouth. That's about it, right?
Years and years and years.
That's what I would have said. The teeth are exactly the same for the Yuri.
But I can't really say
I reckon that photo on the right of Yuri looks similar to Armstrong, who's laying on the grass. But
they're just similar looking people. It's objectively true.
Yeah, yeah. But the one on the left, they kind of do look different. Like that photo on the left, I reckon they do look distinctive.
Yeah.
There's Kosho purposely ruined the test.
Yeah.
It does. So
you said they didn't even read it just now.
We're never gonna know because of you. You did your thing. You did your thing. Good job. All right, I'm giving salty at Kosho now. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
Just run another class in like 15, 20 minutes.
You know what's funny though is when I first saw that, I was trying to think of which one was Neil Armstrong, and once I couldn't figure out what I was like, even either was Neil Armstrong. That's when you're able to actually tell the differences between them. There's some things that look similar between them, but when you're trying to figure out, to tell the difference, it's pretty easy to tell the difference.
Honestly, I'm looking for it. you know, if you
Well, there's a whole video that has more to do it. I mean, they could be doppelgangers, but it's pretty crazy that they're doppelgangers and they happen to be, you know, the first pioneers of their field.
So there you go. Someone who posted that in the side chat, Neil Armstrong was Yuri Gagarin.
I just put that in there for people to look at more evidence that claims that they could be the same person. If you want to watch it, there's more to it than just them looking similar.
Okay. You have to remember that Pete Shea was for a long time claiming that Will Smith was Obama. You have to keep that in mind, please.
Yeah, Nate, you're right. All of these people look very similar. I would agree. You can say they look just as similar as Yuri Gagarin and Neil Armstrong. There are differences, but this is what I mean by similar. And we can all objectively agree that all these pictures Nate posted, these people look very similar. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I do have a correction for you. Okay. The Dodo is still claiming that they are the same actor who played both parts.
Well, correction. Why is that a correction? What the Dodo says has nothing to do with any correction. He doesn't represent all flat earthers.
And I'm just saying, just bear that in mind. Okay.
You ever played Wii? The Wii Sports or whatever, you make like a little character.
Yeah.
Really, any game where you make an avatar.
Wiimo's, whatever they're called. Yeah.
Yeah, you realize, a little bit of math. There's only a certain number of combinations you can, mix everything together. Hairs, faces, and face sizes.
Yeah. It would be a crazy coincidence if the first man on the moon and the first man in space look so much alike. It's still a crazy coincidence, no matter how you cut it.
I know you say they look so much alike, but they don't look so much. They have some similar features.
I think that we wouldn't.
I mean, you go to any office. There's going to be two dudes that have similar features.
Okay, so
they're not that close.
Mm-hmm. So, same smile, same expression, same eye squint, same all kinds of things.
Hugh was way more comfortable at the bottom of a trash can. He was way more comfortable there.
Hey, you might be right. I don't know.
Bandy always brings out. Yeah, just an Aussie to come up with that. Yeah.
There's a website called. I thought it was called Doppelgangers, but it's called like Twin something. But you can find it if you look up for Find My Doppelganger. But if you post a picture of yourself in that website, it'll show you people who look exactly like you. It's pretty crazy if you post a good.
I saw my doppelganger in London. Unfortunately, I was in a moving
channel. Oh, sorry.
I was in a moving vehicle. I think it was a bus or something like that. And I saw this guy in the street looked exactly like me, and it freaked me out. I went, wait a minute, that's not me. I'm me. I remember having that really crazy thought in my head. Wait a minute. This dude looked exactly like me, but I was in a bus or something.
It's an eerie feeling.
Here's a fun one. Forget Bill Hicks. What about Sam Kinison?
Holy shit. Holy fucking shit, dude. That looks fucking exactly the same. Holy fucking shit, dude. This fucking actor.
And look at the kid picture. The kid picture of Alex Jones looks just like the kid picture of fucking Sam Kinison. I made up the comp, and if you look at the nose, if you zoom in on the nose, look at how crazy the nose is. Exactly the same nose and crease. And
he looks a lot more like Bill Hicks than he does Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
Oh, you know that?
The Weeknd does not look like Justin Bieber, bro, at all.
He's wearing a mask.
That is fucking ridiculous, dude. They don't look similar at all.
Ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous on the surface, but if you think about it and you hear if you hear all the theory to it, he's wearing a mask. That's why he can't feel his face, right?
Oh my god!
When I'm with you, right? And
it's hilarious.
They both dated Selena Gomez. They've never been seen together. There's only one picture of them together, and it's a mannequin. And the Weeknd came out of nowhere and just had a big. He became a Grammy winner his first year out. He performs and sings just like Justin with a little bit of vocoding. They could totally be the same person.
Okay, I can say this. Sam Kinison looks
Wait
like
a minute.
Sam Kinison.
Wait a minute. Did you claim? Wait a minute. Wait. I gotta clarify this. Real quick. Did you claim that The Weeknd is Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber as well? What the?
They both dated. They both dated Selena Gomez, right?
Okay.
The Weeknd supposedly stole her away from Justin, so that could be like just a performance for the crowd, you know.
Ronnie James, Sam Kennison looks like Ronnie James Dio.
About that either, but I mean, the Weeknd looks more like Ryan James Dio, I think.
Wait a second. The Weeknd.
Oh no! Sorry, I was thinking. No. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Ron Jeremy when I said that. I was thinking the Weeknd looks like Ron.
Justin just plays on The Weeknd. Get it?
The Weeknd.
You're always thinking Ron Jeremy. To be fair.
Okay,
Yo, so Dave, when you see a picture of The Weeknd and Justin Bieber together, do you still feel it's the same person?
There's only one, and it's actually a fake. It's a mannequin.
Wait, look in the chat. New perspective.
Show me video of them together. I'm not saying I'm 100% on this. I think there could be a guy playing The Weeknd as well as Justin Bieber singing for him, because they have tour dates that don't match up. That do coincide.
Around people,
but I'm saying it's not impossible.
Yeah, but how about when you see videos of them around people talking at the same time together?
Then I want to see that. Is there videos of them together? Video of them together?
You've never seen a video of them together?
No, have you?
Right. This actually might be right. I might have to retire after this.
I've been looking.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm not saying they are ridiculous, guys.
I'm saying this is how far conspiracy goes.
This is fucking ridiculous.
Isn't this?
Now you're on the other side.
Okay.
All right. Here's the comp I put together. That's not a picture of them together, by the way. Show me the video of them together.
This is like.
And look at the just look at the picture comparison I made. You can see how if it is true, how it could be true.
I think Hugh Jazz been trying to say something wrong.
Has anyone seen the show Star Trek Voyager?
No.
Yes.
No, it sounds big.
I've seen it.
There's an episode called The Voyager Conspiracy. Watch it. Just saying.
All right. By the way, in the Weeknd comp I made, look at the scar above the eye. This is something I found on my own that made me more compelled to think it might be true. I'm not saying it is true, but there is a scar that Justin Bieber has above his forehead, his eyebrow, and you can see on the Weeknd that the scar is there too.
Is it?
Where's that scar at? I see it on Justin's face, but I don't see it on
the eye. Look at the close-up of the eye to the far right of the picture. It's a close-up of the black face eye, and you can see the scar there. And you zoom in.
Is this a serious claim? I'm just curious.
There are people that totally believe right now. And you know what's so funny is I've tried to convince one of my friends about other ones that are like this, and he will not buy any of them. He's like, no, bullshit, that's crazy, no way. I showed him this one. He watched a ton of videos of the Weeknd, compared the voices. He is convinced that they are the same person, and he's not convinced of these things at all.
It's a white and a black person, and you threw in a Spanish girl. And how y'all picking on the favoriteest people I love?
It's crazy that Dave is serious right now, though. Like, that's what
I'm serious that it could be true, because that's how crazy this world is.
That's crazy.
Man, okay. Well.
I mean, he came out of nowhere and had all the performing skills and everything. Won a Grammy the first year. He's a project. The Weeknd is a project. But there are videos when he's younger and mixtapes that make you think maybe it's not him. Maybe it was actually they're both from Canada, same area. Maybe it was a friend of his. Maybe they switch up. Maybe he plays them sometimes or something.
Here's the problem with this whole theory is that people go to the Weeknd concert and hear the Weeknd sing and shit. So are you saying that
it could
that's
be
Justin Bieber in a suit when they do that?
Yeah, it's him in a mask. It's Justin Bieber in a mask, possibly. Yeah.
This is crazy.
And if you hear the singing voices, very similar. It's just a little bit of vocoding, a little bit of like reverb on the mic makes them sound a little different.
We got to run this by Peach today, though, for real. See what you think.
I'm not saying I think it's 100%. There's some that I'm very much more confident with. I think this one's possible, not impossible, but I'm not 100%.
Well, someone has to follow him around. Someone has to follow them around and watch him and video him putting on a mask. All right, let's get people onto it. Let's get people onto it.
You know this.
Or
The
like,
CIA.
or like fucking Scooby Doo. Someone go up onto the stage and rip his mask off like Scooby Doo. Someone should do that.
Right now, in the words of Bandsaw, we are in La La Land. This is
You guys are in La La Land.
Bruh, someone should go Scooby Doo. Someone should go Scooby Doo the Weekend.
Whether or not Justin Bieber and the Weeknd are in person, it's La La Land. And I beg all of us to change the subject and talk about something more serious. This is ridiculous.
Here we go. Sid and Nancy. Okay, everybody remembers Sid and Nancy, right? Well, now we have Bette Midler and her husband, who they are married to, who she is married to, is Martin Van Hasselberg. And this is the comparison of Sid and Nancy to Bette Midler and Martin Van Hasselberg.
Well, I did. I was going to say, I know the CIA have had these sort of masks that their agents wore in the field, like legitimately for like 30+ years, and they're pretty convincing, the masks. Back then,
you can do anything.
Went better.
Yeah, but the only issue is why would Justin Bieber?
Yeah, I know. If he was wearing a mask, why would his scar? Why would they have the same scar in their eye?
He can't be a white boy compared to Michael Jackson. But they compare The Weeknd to Michael Jackson, right? He can't be the white. He can be the black boy singer this way. He can have two careers.
I've heard that Bette Midler is actually a woman.
No. No way.
It's true.
I mean, they even have songs together. Like, oh my God, Dave.
That was lowbrow.
Yeah.
What? What are you saying? Don't just say
what? Can you define woman?
Oh, I'm not a biologist. Everyone get that reference? Everybody get that reference?
Yeah, you want another one, guys? You want another one? I've got a lot of these. These are fun. See, it's fun because this is fun conspiracy because it's either true or not true, and it's just fun to look at. All right, it's just fun to possibly.
Wait, hold on. That's all
new topic.
Now we all know there was something weird.
Hang on. New topic. Bandsaw says that fiber optic gyro compasses prove flat Earth. Bandsaw, can you elaborate?
Now you're deflecting. You're trying to change the subject here, Nate.
Oh yes, I am.
How don't they?
I am.
Right? Well,
explain so.
Well, I shall if you give me 2 seconds, right? So, light being a wave, right? Electromagnetic wave, right? And this is how, right, it seeks north, right? This is how it does it. And whether it's a normal manual gyro compass or a fiber optic gyro compass, right, they seek the magnetic north, and then it's calibrated to a particular point, right? Because it does fluctuate a little bit. So the geographical north, as we know, is only a map reference. Right? It's not an axis of the Earth, so to speak. It's just a point that we access things to. So we calibrate all our machines to this center point, and after it has seeked the magnetic north, it then adjusts itself to the geographical North Pole. So, boom.
Okay. You really killed the conversation.
Well, how does that?
But how does that prove Earth's point?
Is light not in the electromagnetic spectrum?
Yes.
Aren't you jumping
there
like?
You go.
I mean, we should be able to prove this. Then that we can, if we have a gyroscope. and then we have a magnet. We should see this, like align itself with that, But I mean, we have to like at least.
Really? So you think that if you put a magnet next to a beam of light, you're gonna get it to point towards a magnet? Do you think that?
But I don't know. I mean,
okay then. So the way the gyro compass works, by shooting out little photons this way and that way, the speed difference is what it's aligning itself with. Because we do know that light is affected by a magnetic field. Right? We do know this. Right? We know the speed of light is affected by a magnetic field. This is provable. This is demonstratable. Okay, then. So that magnetic field that it is in is what is affecting it.
Yeah, but I mean,
so you can't deny that light is affected by a magnetic field. You can't deny that.
I mean, I haven't really technically seen evidence of that, but
well, it's true. It's true. It's been tested. The speed of light is affected by a magnetic field. It's been demonstrated. It's been tested. So it is mainstream science. It's not fringe science at all. It's mainstream. So it's all out there.
Can you elaborate on what you said about the magnetic field and the light? Because I know that photons they don't have a charge, and so I don't think that they can be affected directly by magnetic fields.
Really? So light can't be affected by a magnetic field?
Well, not directly. Indirectly.
What's indirectly?
Well, there's an observation that Dyslow brings up a lot. It's like a ferrofluid, like there's some sort of ferrofluid, and there's a magnetic material in it. Anyways, I forget what the thing is called. I think it's called ferrocell. Ferrocells, I think what it's called. And so yeah, it's a ferrofluid, and they apply a magnetic field to this ferrofluid, and they shine a light through it, and the light gives you cool designs, but that's basically the light being affected by the light traveling through the fluid, and the stuff in the fluid being affected by the magnetic field. I don't think the light itself can be affected by magnetic fields.
So the medium.
Yeah,
yes.
The medium.
Yes. Yeah. So medium that it is in, right? Okay. So how isn't light then affected by magnetism?
Well, no, I'm saying that is
or an electromagnetic field.
Hmm.
Right? So the light.
Well, that's what I'm saying is.
Well, light has to travel through a medium, Kosho. It can't not travel through a medium. It has to propagate through something. There has to be a conduit.
Yeah. So what's the medium inside the gyro?
Okay, then. So that conduit that it travels through, right, is affected by the electromagnetic field. Yes.
Yeah, but no.
Okay.
No,
then. Yes.
No,
yes.
no. The light doesn't need the light. The conduit that the light travels through is a field. Is the electromagnetic field itself. The light doesn't need a medium to travel through. Yeah, it doesn't need a medium.
Really?
Yeah,
it
travels.
Have you got a demonstration? Have you got a demonstration where light can travel through nothing at all?
Yes.
Nothing at all.
Where?
Anytime you've seen the inside of a vacuum.
Really?
Have you ever seen something inside of a vacuum?
There is nothing in a vacuum, is there, Kosho? Think very carefully about the answer you're about to say. There's nothing.
Well, I'm telling you that the amount of air inside the vacuum chamber is not going to dictate how much of whatever else is in there you can see. So if there's very few particles, you would expect to see very little of it, or very little of anything, because there's barely any medium for the light to travel through. But the amount of air is not going to change how well you can see.
There is a medium in a vacuum, right? You haven't pulled a perfect vacuum for starters, right? There's no demonstration of a perfect vacuum, and even once you have pulled a perfect vacuum, all you have done, right, is relieve it of the gas, right? You've relieved it of nothing else but the gas. So you haven't even pulled a perfect vacuum yet to relieve it of all the gas to even start off from that premise. You've only got down to what 10 to the -6 or 7, whatever it is, and whatever the vacuum is. That's all you've got down to. So it's not even a perfect vacuum. So there still is some gas in it, regardless on top of what anything else that may be in that vacuum. All right. So you can't say that light doesn't need a medium to travel through whatsoever. Right? That is just pulling stuff out of you know where.
Thin air.
Right?
They say that the Large Hadron Collider has a much stronger vacuum, or much I guess more vacant vacuum than
Okay,
that
then
of space.
it's more vacant, but it still isn't the perfect vacuum, right?
Okay, well
It can
then the
it
question
can
is,
have a much stronger vacuum than that one in Idaho or whatever, but it still ain't the perfect vacuum. So it still doesn't have no gas in it, right? Let alone whatever other medium may be in it. So the light still has to travel through a medium. That's all we can say. We can't say
well then
it has to have no medium.
well then how much air does there need to be for the light to travel through? Just it could be 1 molecule per cubic meter, and the light can travel through it now, but it can't if that
Well,
molecule is not there.
Well, who says that the actual light is actually traveling through the or needs the medium of air or gas to travel through?
Well, you just did, I thought.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I said it needs a medium to travel through of some sort, right? So unless we can eliminate the gas altogether, all right. Well, we can maybe assume that it needs gas because there is gas there, right? But until we can alleviate that variable from the equation, right? There is still a medium. There's still a conduit for the light to get from point A to point B to piggyback all the way along that medium to get to its destination.
Yeah, but we know that the more air you take out, the easier it is for the light to travel through. So we know that. So it doesn't make sense that you can take air out. You can take air out until there's only a tiny bit left, and it gets better and better and better. But once you take it all out, it can't move at all.
Okay, so now all you are taking out is some form of resistance being mass, right? So the medium that is left, right, has less resistance, so the light can actually move faster in that medium. That's all you're doing. You're just removing one medium of resistance. Okay.
Yeah, but what's left? The medium. The difference between a medium and a field is a medium has substance. A field just is points and positions of different values.
Well, you don't know until you've actually tested these things. You've only got assumptions at this stage.
They're fairly safe assumptions though, because it only becomes easier for the light to travel when there's less substance.
Well, we know light. We know light is affected by an electromagnetic field, right? So until we can eliminate, right, totally what that electromagnetic field affects, right? Now, in a fiber optic gyroscope, right, this light is traveling through a medium, okay, then, so it is going to align itself slower and faster one way or another due to the magnetic field that it is in.
It doesn't do that though. The light doesn't. The light does because first of all, you made a giant jump there. You said you just said yeah, you made a giant, massive jump. You just said, well, we know that it's affected by magnetic fields, which indirectly it is, sure, but you never said how it's affected, and then you dictated how it was affected. You said that it can influence a light to point in a certain direction north. It's going to influence all the light. It would have to do that to the medium first of all, and the light would have to then be influenced by that medium to do that. For that to be the case, but
yeah,
it's just not. That's not happening. Isn't the light? Isn't a vacuum an interferometer as well?
Sorry.
Isn't interferometer a vacuum?
Is it?
I thought so.
Okay, then.
It
So what?
would make sense to it.
Yeah,
So what
they
sort of
try
vacuum?
to
What sort of vacuum?
like
The perfect vacuum, or just a kind of close enough kind of vacuum?
A
So the perfect
sufficient vacuum.
Oh,
yeah,
sufficient.
like
So
Banco.
it's
Banco. Think about the vacuum tubes at Lyco. You know, they have lasers running
yeah,
through.
yeah. I know exactly. They do. And do we have the perfect vacuum, or just a close enough to relatively what's all right for the job kind of vacuum?
Uh-huh.
It's probably the
Sufficient.
it's probably the latter, isn't it? Right? It's kind of roughly kind of good enough for the job, kind of a vacuum.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Sufficient
it's
for the
not
job. Yeah.
so it's not the perfect vacuum. Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how much of a vacuum you would need. But I mean, how much air you're gonna need before the it's gonna disturb the light that much. Like if it's less than 1 psi, I'm sure you'll be fine. It's probably
Well,
less than that even.
it doesn't need much at all, does it? Really, it does not need much of a difference to read the speed of a photon going this way and the speed of a photon going that way. It only needs a quadruple 15th of 1% of a nanosecond, right? Difference, right? To register, right? And now all of a sudden we have a direction because we have a difference at which this thing is going to align itself to. And to say that the light isn't affected by an electromagnetic field in any way, shape, or form is just it's disingenuous, Kosho.
Sure,
To say,
it would be disingenuous if someone said that.
right? Well, you kind of
No one said
suggesting
that.
that.
No, I
Okay,
didn't
cool.
suggest it at
So,
all. I told you.
okay then.
I said
Okay then. Cool.
plainly.
Cool. So it is affected by an electromagnetic field.
No,
Thus,
I didn't say that
that is
either.
thus that is what it is seeking. The electromagnetic north. That is what it is doing.
My goodness. I first of all, I didn't say it wasn't. That was a huge black and white. I didn't say it wasn't unaffected. It wasn't affected by it by any shape or form, and then didn't say, okay, well, it is affected by it. What I said was, it
Your
can be
denial.
affected.
Your denial is
No,
just confirmation. It's just
it
confirmation.
can affect the medium, and if that medium is then influencing the light, because of refraction or whatever else, that can happen as an effect, but it would be an indirect effect. But I'm actually reading a paper right now called
So
"Determining the Index of Refraction of Air Using a Michelson Interferometer." So let me see.
okay. So does a gyro compass use refraction?
I don't think gyro compasses use light at all. I thought they just used
Really?
yeah, I thought they
Really?
were just
They don't.
spinning. Yeah, they were just spinning.
A fiber
Nope.
optic gyro compass.
Oh, I've never seen. I don't know. I've never seen one like that. I
Yeah.
don't.
Well,
They probably exist. I'm not. I'm
right
familiar with the mechanical ones.
plasma. They use plasma in there as
That's
well,
cool.
and all these things are affected by a magnetic field, an electromagnetic
Plasma
field.
is, yeah. Plasma.
Exactly. Definitely plasma is, and things as these things are in the fiber optic gyroscope. It's just more confirmation that its ability to seek a direction of north, being magnetic north, right, makes perfect sense. Why they would use these tools to do this.
Setting or time. This is a weird paper. I'm sorry, I'm just reading. This is. I thought it's not even the same. It's not even the right point. But it's just claiming that a Michelson interferometer can be used to measure the index of refraction of air. Okay, cool, dude. I don't know why that's necessary.
So there you go, Nate.
Interesting, Dan. So I need to look more into this. I've never heard of a fiber optic gyro.
Really, these are the newest, beautest machines on the face of the earth.
Well, I mean, I know what a fiber optic gyroscope is, but you're talking about a fiber optic gyro compass.
Well, if you want to
Yeah,
go into
gyro
it, if you want to go into a gyro compass, right? The gyro compass uses magnets in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, see that?
Exactly.
Well, no, it doesn't. No.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Why do they have magnets in them? I wonder why.
Oh.
I wonder why they have magnets in them. Interesting, isn't it? Why would they need a magnet in them if they can just naturally seek north themselves?
What does so you saying the magnet in them tries to line up with the North Pole?
With the magnetic north, yes, exactly right. That's what they try and do, right? And then from there, they are then calibrated to point to the geographic north.
Alright.
Point of
I'm gonna
reference.
wait for Kosho to look into this, and then we'll come back and prove you wrong. Man.
Yeah, trust me, Kosho won't be able to prove me wrong on this.
What?
He comes
Is
up
that a
short
challenge?
all the time.
What is it
Yeah.
proving?
Oh.
What is the point of this, though? Not to be rude.
The point.
Oh.
Well, I think Nate wanted to get off the photos, so that's why he brought it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of weird from the whole people look alike.
But that was quite good, though.
Do you want to go back to people looking
Spoiled,
alike?
spoiled.
Really?
Go back to people.
Well, we all had a good time during that instead of arguing, bickering. So
I felt it was a bit ridiculous.
We were having a good time just now. You. Oh, you're not having a good time?
I almost fell
You need
over.
to be.
Fell asleep.
You need to be searching the bottom of your trash cans to pull out some more evidence.
All the physics. Dude searching at the bottom of the trash can. Paper
I mean,
towels,
is there something
napkins.
you want to talk about? Do you have any globe proofs that you should share?
Who's going for the jugular today? What's that?
What?
Who's asking?
No, I'm just asking if you have any globe proofs you wish to share with the panel tonight.
That hasn't already been shared. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, what's your best proof for Earth being a sphere? Your best personal piece of evidence.
My best personal piece of evidence. I see a very clear horizon line at the beach, and not a continually hazy and hazier and hazier horizon, which is what I would expect on a flat Earth. That's one. And because I had satellite TV, that's another one.
How far away is that horizon?
Gosh. What is it? 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles? How far is it?
No, I'm asking you. Because that would be the Earth curve, right? That would be where it starts.
I don't know where it starts.
Interesting.
I mean, I've not measured. How would I even measure that?
I don't know. You tell me. You told me that that's the Earth curve.
Well, if it was flat Earth, wouldn't you expect it to just be a hazier?
No, if it's a glob Earth, you told me that you'd expect a clear horizon line, and that's what we see. I'm wondering how you measured to that.
I didn't measure anything, but it just appears to me. I mean, there's a very, very clear, distinct horizon line, right?
Yep.
I don't think that would be the case if I'm trying to imagine what even the flat Earth would look like. No one's even attempted
it would look like exactly what you see.
Well, what I see is a clear horizon line, which is not what I would expect to see on a flat Earth.
Which you haven't measured to.
Well, I don't need to measure to see a clear horizon line. And the other one is I have satellite TV from satellites, and my brother-in-law works in that field. And
Okay, so your TV works and you see a horizon.
Okay, so the horizon isn't what I would expect to find on a flat Earth, and satellites exist. Therefore, with no explanation of what satellites are, other than, oh, they're all probably fake or balloons, I'm going to go with satellites exist, therefore Earth can be flat. It's just the lack of really compelling alternative explanations for things like that.
Would you agree that you could represent the orbit of satellites in any way you want?
Well, what does that mean?
You could use any type of formulas or math that could theoretically represent its motion on any surface.
So what you're asking, I'm not sure what you're asking, but I think what you're asking is,
well, since all motion is relative and you could only express it mathematically, would you agree that any motion you see could be expressed mathematically in any way you wish?
I don't know if I'd bring mathematics into it, but I don't know.
Okay, so
that one.
so what are you talking about with the satellites then?
Well, satellites exist. So,
correct.
Okay, so is there an explanation for what satellites are other than saying, oh, they're all balloons, or they're all fake, or they're all projections?
No, they're up there. They're just going in a circle.
They're going in a circle. What's keeping them up?
Gravity.
Gravity's keeping them up.
Sure, whatever keeps them up now is what keeps them up there on a flat Earth.
You believe in gravity, Jared?
What?
What?
Yeah, gravity
what are you
is.
saying? I understand what you're saying.
Gravity is an observable phenomenon.
Right.
You believe in gravity?
Yeah, I drop something, that falling is gravity.
Okay. All right. Yep. I'm with you so far. Gravity keeps satellites up. How does that work?
However they stay up in your head is how they stay up there now. Thing is, you could represent that mathematically in any way you want. How do you think they stay up there on a glob?
What do you mean on a glob?
How do you think that? Okay, let's say Earth is a glob, right?
Earth is a glob.
How do you think they stay up there now?
Hold on, Jerry, you're expecting me to answer you seriously, and you're saying that Earth is a glob.
Yeah, let's imagine that Earth is a glob, right?
Okay,
and
I can
there's
imagine
satellites.
I'm going to imagine that you're being serious. I'll do that.
Yeah, you do you. Okay, so how do satellites stay up there, presuming glob?
You know what? I can't be bothered. Anyone else want to talk like a grown-up? I mean, seriously. Not to be dismissive or anything, but come on.
I don't know. It's late, man.
I know it's
late.
Glob. It's a bow. The Earth is a bow.
So, Jerry, are you saying that mass attracting mass is what keeps satellites above a stationary planar Earth?
No, mass doesn't attract anything because that would imply that it's a force.
Yeah, so when you were saying gravity, you're just talking about like weightedness, like things that have weight?
Oh, yeah.
And then how is that connected to the idea of like something staying above an Earth that isn't a globe?
Well, in my understanding, satellites use gravity to stay above Earth, right?
Well, I'm just asking you if that's what you think. Is that what you think? Because I was just trying to clarify from what you said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Okay, well then what's your definition of gravity in that scenario? Is it like a Newtonian, Einsteinian thing, or is it just buoyancy, density? Like what are you thinking on that?
Gravity is just the observation of things falling down. It's that phenomenon. It's not a thing to hold or whatever. It's an action that we witness, and that's it.
Well, like in the heliocentric model, they claim that satellites are like orbiting a sphere, and that because of this mass attracting mass, bending, warping of space-time thing, it's all pulling everything to the center of the sphere, and therefore when you throw something out there, like some kind of satellite or something like that, it just starts orbiting. So are you saying something like that is happening on a flat Earth, or are you saying something different than that? Or are you saying it's just similar in some ways, or
I'm not necessarily making any claims. I'm just saying that you could represent the motion in any myriad of different ways.
Yeah. Well, if things are like circling a North Pole area, then there could be the idea that something could be put up into that region up there and then would do a similar thing. But that would take, sort of like Raki was talking about earlier, perhaps like some kind of a superfluid or some sort of a medium, it would seem.
There you go.
Because if there's not mass attracting mass and there's not bending and warping of space-time, then, and I think it's electrostatic as well.
So we acknowledge that there's something actually floating in the sky? Or in space or wherever?
Who are you asking?
You guys.
Well, yeah, we see
So
stuff
these satellites, these what they claim it's ISS, like it's something they put up there for sure.
Sure.
So it's not CGI.
For lack of
we could see it with our eyes, right? We could get a telescope and focus to it, right? And see it with our own eyes.
For lack of an alternative explanation.
Well, the military has all kinds of stuff up there. There's no doubt about that. I mean, drones, balloons. NASA is one of the largest consumer of helium in the entire world. So they are, and there have been reports, by NASA about how many balloons they have up there and how much helium they use. So there's definitely a lot up there. The questions are, is there any way that something can sustain up there without falling? And like I said, that would require there's some possibilities with that. Otherwise, if it has to be kept up there with a force, as it were, then everything would have to be balloon based at that point. Or they actually use other things too. There's something called electrostatic tethers. This is tethering technology where essentially they have a device in the sky and they have a tether coming down from it, usually like an electrical charge type of cable, usually a very thick cable. and they hang the cable down, and they're able to change the charge of that cable and either rise or lower in elevation and in altitude. So a combination of that tethering technology, various balloons, drones, a lot of different equipment that can basically manage its own altitude.
That sounds a lot more complicated, though, than just space.
Everything except satellites orbiting.
Yeah. Like, that sounds way more complicated. That's what you're trying to...
Royal ether and...
Well, those things I just said already exist. It's not a theory or something to be complicated or not. Electrostatic tethers absolutely exist. The military uses them. NASA uses them. They've been used for a long time. And balloons absolutely exist as well. And drones exist. So everything I said is already exists and is public to be happening, to be, to be up there. Meaning that, they publicly not, release that information. That stuff is being used.
There is a proposal I read here that ISS reboost can be, or the altitude of the ISS can be maintained to save expenses related to chemical propellant reboosts by electro thingy tethers. It doesn't look like it's it still means that it's everything except satellites in orbit. That's the thing.
To who? To you?
Well, to you. I mean, okay.
In order for there to be a vacuum surrounding something that in their claim a sphere, then there's a whole bunch of requirements that are needed to think that a quote unquote satellite has been launched out of the Earth's atmosphere, as it were, and pops out into a vacuum and then starts circling around a sphere. That's a huge leap for something that has zero verification for it. If you want to believe that, you can, but in terms of anything but that, yes, I think any discussion but that is getting us closer to the truth. Absolutely.
Okay, so gravity being a force, that's the simplest explanation. Gravity is a force that keeps things on the ground, and you can escape it or you can resist it by sending a rocket up high enough to where the effects of gravity aren't as strong, and you can move in an orbital fashion that keeps you from falling back to the Earth. That's not a thing you can. It's not necessarily simple, but you're not going to say that that's a possible explanation at all.
A possible explanation for what? For lights in the sky that are going by, or for what?
For satellites.
But that's what I'm asking. For the fact that there's signals that are connected to the sky field, or the fact that you see lights? Because what are you? What are you trying to?
Satellites are a thing. Satellites send and receive signals. You can send and receive signals to satellites. Civilians have done this, and they're not just lights. They are actual satellites. If that's why is that implausible? I'm just asking. What is in physics that makes that implausible?
Well, I feel like you're asking a couple different things. Well, first of all, what I was going to say is that what you or anyone observes are lights and signals. So you're just connecting what we have verifiable, what we have that's empirical, is lights and signals. So you're just trying to say that you believe those lights and signals are being sent by fill in the blank, which basically is an object that is launched into a medium of a vacuum that you've never verified or proven, that violates various natural law and involves pseudophysics to function.
Not
And then
at all.
that object then uses a pseudophysical orbiting theory based upon gravity calculations that then orbits a sphere. And you're saying that's plausible?
If you put it like that and just dismiss everything that's understood about orbits and gravity, and yes, but not when anyone that understands orbits and gravity. That's not implausible. If it's just basic denial of, I mean, if you say, oh, it's just a light, and oh, it's just a signal. I mean, you could deny anything. That's easy to do. But there are satellites in orbit. People have satellite TV. People work on the satellites. I have a family member who works in that field. So you must be being fed false data or something. There's got to be something other than there are satellites in orbit. And you're also not, with NASA saying, the helium and all that stuff, you also have a bunch of other agencies that don't use helium. SpaceX, for example, launches 60 or 70 of their satellites at the same time. Do you have a proposal for what those might be held in the air by? Or will that just reference back to the NASA thing about helium and balloons?
You said a whole bunch of stuff there. I feel like there was a lot of points. I guess one thing is you just said a whole thing about something about denial. I actually never denied anything. What I did is I said that what we can verify are lights and signals, and then I then said that you're then asserting, this idea that you believe that they're satellites. I never actually denied any of it. And you were saying that it was plausible, and I just laid out asking you why it's plausible to you that whole story of orbiting involving pseudophysics and something that's been unverified and that breaks natural law is plausible to you.
Because nothing about
I never denied anything. The phenomenon that we could refer to as satellites, I'm not denying at all.
But the claim that it's all pseudoscience and never been verified, both are false. I don't think satellites break any natural laws.
No, I said pseudophysics. I said pseudophysics.
Pseudophysics, yeah, just pseudophysics. What you claim to be pseudophysics is that's just physics. If it breaks a certain law of physics, then you'd have to sort of explain why that's the case.
What is the physical correlate that you could create on any scale that recreates this orbiting theory?
Orbiting theory. So the way you confirm a theory is,
yeah.
I mean, you'd
If
actually
it's
do
a
it in
form
practice,
of physics, right? Yeah. Can you recreate this in any way, shape, or form? This things orbiting spheres?
Yeah, you can set up your own experiment. You can set up your own satellite. Send up your own satellite. You send it up ride sharing on one of SpaceX's latest missions or whatever. Get yourself a little CubeSat. You can get one for like, I don't know, maybe like $40,000 now, and send signals to it and track it. You could do that, and you could confirm that it's size, so it couldn't be on a balloon. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do to confirm this without just saying, oh, it's all just pseudoscience, pseudophysics. I mean, if you have physics to replace the claimed pseudophysics, you could do that.
No, it's actually all kind of obfuscated from what I asked, which was, do you have any, if it's not pseudophysics, do you have any replicatable, recreatable, verifiable in any way, shape, or form that things orbit other spheres, that's a part of physics? Because if not, then you're talking pseudophysics.
Okay, so you mean moons orbiting planets? Yes, you can observe moons orbiting planets.
No, I didn't say observations of lights in the sky. I said I'm talking about a tangible, verifiable, recreatable, repeatable.
And I said, yes, you could do that. You could have
That
your own
physics,
satellite.
proof that physics exists, not just observations of things in the sky.
Yeah, you could attempt to set up your own satellite, send up your own satellite, or have it sent up for you, and you could track it and confirm that it isn't in orbit if you wanted to do that. I don't get the feeling that anyone in flat Earth would want to do that, because they'd end up sending a satellite into orbit. By the way, B.O.B. the rapper did just that.
Who's
He tried to
claiming
do
to send this?
a GoFundMe.
Right. So who, if you bought a Cube satellite, obviously you're not launching it. So who's launching it, and what verification do you have that they put it into a medium orbiting a sphere?
Well, that would be up to you. Not to me. I don't believe that satellites are not in orbit. That's up to you
Okay,
to
I
prove
don't.
that satellites are not in orbit.
That's not the question I asked. You said your proof of how satellites exist was for me to buy a CubeSat and have it sent into the sky. Now, if I did buy one of those and I put a little beacon on there, and then once they say they put it up there, I can then bounce signals off of it. That's cool. Even if that's the case, that means something is up there. But what I asked you is that how, because you used it as proof of these satellites, where have you gotten verification or proof that whoever launched it for you, because as we know, you're not going to launch it yourself, who launched it for you? Do you know who that would be? I think we know who it is, the government, and everyone, and the companies linked to that. Nonetheless, let's just, what proof do you have that it went into a medium that's orbiting a sphere? That's the question.
Well, first of all, you could track it and you could send signals to it and gauge the distance to the signals. And you could do that from multiple places on the Earth. And then if it comports with a satellite orbiting the Earth, then you'd have to explain how that works on a flat Earth with no gravity and no orbiting and no space. I mean, it's not up to me or anyone, to prove that satellites are in orbit. There's so many of them, that's not necessary. The onus is on, if you wanted to say that there aren't satellites in orbit because you can't, or for whatever reason, the onus is on you to do experiments and to prove and show people, look, we tried to do this, we tried to do that, we tried to send a satellite up and it gave us a signal that was anomalous, or something like that, other than just making the claim that it's all pseudophysics. I mean, there's got to be something that you can do to make an actual positive contribution in this. You know what I mean?
Okay, so your answers as to why it's not pseudophysics and why you think it exists is because you could possibly buy a cube satellite and then have signals bounce from the sky, and because you think something else has to replace it.
Yeah.
And
you can't just say, no, it's fake. You have to provide evidence that it's fake, other than just saying it's all fake.
It sounds like you're straw manning. Who said anything was fake? I never said that word. Did someone else say that word?
Okay. Are satellites in orbit, orbiting the planet Earth? That's a no. They have to be something other than satellite.
Yeah.
You're implying that they're all fake.
Okay, I never said the word fake. Did someone else say it?
Okay.
I think what you're doing is you're assuming that I have a certain viewpoint on satellites because of some preconceived bigotry, it seems like, which is not based upon anything I've said. So if you want to actually talk to me, and don't really assume that I may think or not think something about a satellite.
What is a satellite?
Satellite is a word currently used for various different purposes. One of them, in terms of what we're talking about, is a communication device that orbits a spherical planet in a vacuum.
Do those exist or not?
They don't exist in a spherical, surrounding a spherical Earth in a vacuum. No.
So all the claims to that effect are false. I mean,
sorry, say that again.
So you're claiming that the satellites in orbit are not satellites in orbit. It's the same thing. I don't know. It's semantics here.
Well, there is no orbit.
It's
really... kind of a non-applicable question because, yeah, there's no sphere, there's no orbit, there's no vacuum surrounding it. So the whole thing is non-applicable.
So what about the CubeSats that are sent up that are too small and aren't on balloons? You literally only need one object orbiting the Earth, not on a balloon, not tethered, for Earth not to be flat. And we have 4,000 or 5,000 of them.
Okay, so there's something above you in the sky. That's basically the summation?
No, it's not. There's the fact that the summation is there are satellites in orbit of the Earth. Therefore,
right,
the
so
Earth
where are you
be
making
flat.
the link? Where are you making the jump between there's something in the sky that I can get a signal from to that thing is orbiting a sphere in a vacuum? How are you getting to that conclusion from that?
Because I'm not hearing any alternative explanations to how those things are there, other than the claim that they're on balloons, which no one has, by the way, in fact, photographed a balloon satellite, or tethered, or in some ways, anything, basically, literally anything except that there are satellites in orbit. That's what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing explanations as to how they are actually in orbit or how they get to where they are.
Okay. Just from people you've talked to, or I mean, yeah, it sounds like you're thinking about it, so it's always good to be on a journey to figure something out.
Yeah, I talked to lots of people about it, and I've asked them what are satellites, how do they get up there? I don't hear explanations of how they stay up there. If they circle around, how do they circle around? What moves them? And they were just talking about our satellites. We're not even talking about the sun or the moon or whatever else. But if
well, I think that, if you want to hear my viewpoint, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, do you have a viewpoint, or do you have a scientific claim? Because
I'm just surprised that you said you've never heard anyone share their thoughts on any of those topics. That's just surprising.
No, I've heard the claim that they're balloons, but no one's ever proven that they're all balloons. I mean, what I mean is, if you say there are some balloons, yes, there are some balloons. They've shown you the balloons. Obviously, there are some balloons. But the claim is that all satellites launched by all agencies, all people who make satellites throughout all of history, from Sputnik on to SpaceX, that all balloons or all things other than satellites in orbit. I'm just curious if there's any evidence that they're all not what they claim to be.
I gotcha. Well, I guess my next question, do you know who owns all that airspace and who controls it at the high altitudes like that?
Okay, so what I'm after is an explanation as to how satellites stay up, how they circle around the circle of the Earth. That's what I'm asking.
Magnetic field.
My connection might be going in and out a little bit. I'm driving.
You are a little bit, Geo.
But I was gonna say, do you know who owns that airspace at that high altitude where they claim satellites are? Do you know who controls that and monitors it?
Who controls and monitors it?
It's called National Geographic. You know, Noah?
You're roboting a bit, Geo.
Did you say Noah?
It's yeah, NOAA, Noah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar. So,
and you know who they are? You know who they are?
Do they control China's airspace, or Israel's, or India's, or Australia's?
Russia.
Or Russian Roscosmos, There's satellites, military satellites, civilian satellites that they send up. Do they control those?
Sounds like he's in a bad area.
What, like downtown Atlanta?
Sorry?
Like downtown Atlanta or Detroit? He's in a bad area? Sorry, that was lame.
Oh, look, I don't know if those areas are good or bad, so
Well, if you're in England, Brixton, that's a bad area.
okay.
Detroit, yeah, Detroit's, some of the areas of Detroit's horrible.
Yeah.
I was making a lame joke, it didn't land, I'm sorry.
Yeah, these things orbiting, you know, there's you say they follow this orbit round and round this this spherical object that's in a vacuum, and they go round and round this thing. Well, they can quite easily use the magnetic field too to guide themselves as well as power themselves to navigate round and round in circles over a flat plane.
That's physically possible, that you've tested that? Or someone has tested that?
Have I tested it? Me,
or
myself?
Anyone?
Have I done it?
Or anyone?
No.
Or anyone?
I actually haven't, Hugh, but surprisingly enough, right, there are little young people that are testing this thing as we speak. And one may be able to presume that if kids are testing it, maybe the technology is already out there. And they're doing it with actually, funnily enough, a CubeSat. So instead of having to rely on fuel and rockets and whatnot to propel themselves and keep themselves up there, they're going to be using Earth's magnetic field to do the same thing. So if students can come up with this idea, which is going to be launched very, very soon, one would presume that the powers to be are already all over this kind of technology, and perhaps have it in place. Do I have a link? I'm actually looking for the link because I knew you were going to ask for one.
I'm just curious about that one.
Yeah. No, and it is a thing. Like, I'm not pulling this out of thin air. There's
No, I don't. Yeah,
I
I
can't.
never do that.
I can't remember what school. I'm looking for the link now.
Hello, Bandy.
Hey, Blue. How you going, mate?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm looking for the link now, Hugh. But yeah, there is a bunch of students at the moment. They're working on, well, they're going to be setting a CubeSat up into space, so to speak. And yeah, the propulsion mechanism and how it is going to be stay up there is all through the magnetic Earth's magnetic field, which was actually quite interesting, actually. But if I can find the link, I will post it. I'm sure I've posted it in here, so I don't know if you can search the text here and look up.
I'm looking for it now. I'm not.
Yeah.
The latest ship that joined the Antarctic yacht race is actually sponsored by a geosatellite company who have repainted the forepeak of the deck in order to calibrate their satellite with specific spots in the ocean.
That sounds cool. I would be interested in hearing about a satellite that could stay up in the air by magnetism. That would be interesting, because that would
Here we
break a
go.
bunch.
Here we go. Damn, when you. Ah, here we go. Boom.
All right.
Let me just pull up the tiny satellite uses Earth's magnetic field to generate thrust. Okay. So basically, this is how we're told satellites stay up, right? Because they have to generate thrust because they're always falling down. I'll just copy this link. Gee, I'm glad I could find it. You're making me doubt myself, Hugh.
Yeah, no, I'm curious.
Yeah,
I'm curious about it myself.
yeah, that's the one there.
But just
Yeah,
keeping.
it's
Is
a
that
bunch
University
of
of Michigan?
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I've just dropped the link there. I thought it was a really, really cool thing, actually, personally myself.
I found it.
So,
I found it about 10 seconds before you posted that. So we're on the same page.
Okay, then. Okay,
U of M, it's University of Michigan, yeah.
Yep. But anyway,
Cool.
yeah.
That is really
So
cool.
yeah, they use the magnetic field to do what it has to do to kind of stay up there.
Or to actually stay up there.
Yeah, you'd only need a tiny little bit of energy to keep it in orbit, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, it is only an itsy bitsy little satellite too, Blue.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, right.
So
most satellites have to use little thrusters to
yeah.
repair their orbit as it decays over time. Doesn't take a lot of energy to do it, but it takes some.
The ones in far Earth orbit or other, they don't need to do that, do they? They're too far out. Most of them are inside, they're in a position where they would need to do that, but a lot of them are not.
Well, what's far Earth orbit? Because you are always going to have the effect of gravity, so it's always going to have to correct itself, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, it's drag that it's correcting for them. Yeah, it's drag of the Earth from the Earth's atmosphere that is passing through. If it's in low orbit, there's still a little bit of atmosphere, and that's slowing it down.
That's going to create some mayhem.
You get far enough out, you don't have to worry about it.
Even the moon worries about it. Its orbit changes too.
Yeah, the moon's going away from us,
The moon has its own atmosphere. It's crazy.
Oh, it's 40. You were really low. 40. I'm going to turn you up a bit.
My bad.
On my end. Sorry, I was over talking you.
It was probably my microphone. It's not that great.
Yeah, no, I've just turned you up a bit so I don't chop you off. Yeah, but
okay, so GLONASS, which is Russian's GPS, is at gosh, I'm trying to read this. It's something like on the order of 20,000 kilometers away.
Above the sea level?
Yeah, I'm trying to read this confusing graphic.
That's way up there.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, some of them are really far away, much further than you'd think.
Yeah, but it's still going to be affected by Earth's gravity.
Right.
Right, which
even the moon is, right?
But they travel at speed, so that's orbiting. It's, in some ways you could say it's difficult to understand, but generally, once you get a general handle on it, it's not that hard to grasp.
Yeah, but the only way, right, it can continue that circular path, right? That orbit is because of Earth's gravity, right? Otherwise,
right.
Because otherwise, if it didn't have the gravity there, it would just go off in a straight line. It wouldn't continue to go round and round and round in a circle.
That's right.
Yeah, or if it goes too slow, it would the orbit would decay and it would burn up in the atmosphere.
Yeah, well, it's got to find this happy medium, so to speak, and this is why apparently things like the ISS and whatnot have to readjust themselves all the time to be in that, I don't know what you would call it, the sweet spot, right? So it doesn't,
the Goldilocks zone. Yeah.
The Goldilocks zone, is that what they call it? I don't know, but that's what it's
I don't know
trying
if
to
that's
do.
what they call it, but it's a useful term.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that.
But it's a balance of distance and speed, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Distance, speed, and weight. I'm sure there's a formula.
I'm sure that there is, but it'd be so much easier just to make things just go round and round in a circle, not have to worry about all that other kind of rubbish.
Well, nothing up there is easy. I mean, it's all huge amounts of very, very bright people.
Well, you've got to get them up there. And like I said, you've got to rustle around the bottom of that bin, right, and get that stuff to the testing department, Hugh, right, before we can progress. Right? That's what we have to do. And FYI, I am still patiently, right, it's been nearly 6 weeks. I'm still waiting for my reply from NASA. They have yet to reply to me, so I'm very disappointed.
What was the question you had for them?
Yeah, now I'm curious. What was the question?
I want to see a rocket in a vacuum, right?
That one. Okay.
Yeah, and I've got. And anyway, so I just sent it to the general NASA inquiry sites, but I have Nate. Nate is on my side because he has a man on the inside.
Nice.
Right? Yes, so he's also too sent off an inquiry, and he is yet to have any response, even having someone on the inside. So that it's even getting more suspicious.
You guys are both getting ignored.
Exactly. So what do we do, Hugh? Like, what do we do?
Yeah, Bandy. I forgot. Yeah, my friend got back to me. He said he can't get anything. We have to request it from NASA officially. That is a process, and they don't even respond most.
There we were. Ah, see, isn't that suspicious, Nate? Isn't that suspicious?
I don't think it's suspicious. It's just it's difficult to get stuff. Why is it suspicious?
Come on, you said yourself, right? If your mate couldn't get any answers, you too would be heaps suspicious. Oh my goodness gracious!
You really have to know the right person.
Yeah, they don't want to release it to my friend because they don't know what he wants the footage for. You know,
it's a government agency. They're very
Yeah.
cagey. I know from experience. You have to know just the right person, and you have to ask them at just the right time. It's basically
what was your experience? What
happened? Unless we pretend to be like a school or something. If we fake that we're part of an educational program and we just need, but even then they would do background checks on us and stuff.
Honest question, Hugh. What was your experience? What happened? If you don't want to share it, I totally get it.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Okay, fair enough.
And it's top secret.
Nate, we have to get the proper security clearance, right? How do we go? Can we like Photoshop a lanyard or something? You know, walk our way in.
Yeah, that's.
Come on, Nate. It's a little bit suspicious. This guy, that. Come on, it's a pretty.
But this is how it is with most government agencies, Ben. So, like, you need to make an official request to get information.
Yeah, it's not like they're transparent.
I did. I made an official request.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. But I hear you.
What's the
I
difference
get that
between a regular request and an official request?
A regular request is when you just send an email to your friend that works within the organization. An official request is when you send it to the right department.
Right, I see what you're saying.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you have a friend in NASA, like
What if your friend?
what I did.
Yeah, that was my next question. What if your friend?
Yeah,
is
that's
in
not
NASA?
an official request. You would have to send it to the HR department or the
Oh,
PR department. Yeah, there's official channels that you would need to follow to request this information.
Well, you might, but it's unlikely.
Yeah, you
Say
can
what?
let people.
You know how many emails those guys get? Fucking tons, man.
Just deciding one or two things. It can take months and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails.
Your email probably landed in their freaking spam box or something.
Put it like this: SpaceX doesn't operate like that. So that's why SpaceX is sending astronauts to the ISS, and NASA is not.
I've never even tried to email SpaceX. I have no idea.
You see the difficulties I have, Hugh, in trying to get answers.
Get on Twitter.
Walls. You see the walls that are put up.
I don't.
Yeah, I agree with you, Banco. It shouldn't be that difficult to get this sort of information. I agree with you.
No, thank you. The only reasonable
That doesn't
person
mean
here.
it's suspicious.
Only reasonable person here.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's suspicious. It just means, that's bureaucracy for you, That's red tape for you.
Look, now we can colour it whichever way we want to colour it, but it is disappointing, right? That a genuine, heartfelt request. I poured my heart into that email. Okay.
It's getting better by the second.
Bandit, you're awesome.
I need to send it to the bottom of the bin department. All right, might get more luck.
Yeah, so now that we can't get that, the best alternative is to do it ourselves, man. Maybe go to a local university close to you, ask if they have a vacuum chamber you could use to do some experiments, rent it out for a week, and
Well, I did send another email to the that one in Idaho, whatever name it is, to ask them if I could rent it out, right? And they too have refused to get back to me, Nate. Go figure.
How about
okay,
what do I do?
Okay.
What do I do?
Okay, Bandit. Here's a question for you. Are you starting your emails by saying, "Hi, I'm a flat earther"? That could be the source of the issue.
No, you have to word it properly.
Yeah.
I'm just inquiring.
Yeah. I say, dear sir, I'm a flat Earth skeptic. That's how I generally started.
Well, that's the opposite of a flat earther. If you're a flat Earth skeptic, then you're like a sphere earther or something.
There you go. See, like I'm.
Dear Nazi sympathizer. Darling fascist bully boy.
Don't you think in some ways we're our own worst enemy, though, when it gets right down to it? Think about this. 40 years ago, you didn't send emails. Didn't exist 50 years ago.
Fair point.
When I was younger.
Yo, Blue.
And, when you had to sit down and write a letter,
Jesus.
find a guy's address or the address of a company or an agency or whatever. You had to sit down and take the time to write a letter, address the thing, put a stamp on it. How many people did it?
A lot.
It wasn't like, but through the magic of technology that we've developed in the past 50 years, now everybody's email inbox gets flooded with shit.
I agree with you, Blue. Like there used to be an old saying, "The power of the pen," like the power of the pen, right? And back in the day, I was always ringing up my local representative, and they'd never call me back for whatever reason, right? Neither here nor there. But if I wrote a letter, right, I would actually get a response. Right?
Yeah.
You literally, you would get a response because you've
every time.
Yeah, the one, yeah, from my personal experience, right, from just writing to my local representative, I did actually get a response. Right?
Oh, local representative. Okay,
Yep.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. Well, my local representative to
if you're writing
to
your
federal
aldermen,
government.
it's far more likely that they're going to respond 50 years ago than that makes sense.
So
here,
but emails are like a phone call. They just kind of palm them off.
Yeah.
Blue. They
Yeah,
go
that is
spam
very
pile.
true.
I think that's true.
Even
So
I ignore email.
Point.
Here's an
Pretty
experiment. You could try this, Mandy. Instead of the email to this whoever you were sending stuff to in Idaho, write them a letter.
You know what? I
Try
may
that.
just do.
See what happens.
I may just do that, Blue. Right? Because
right.
Because we are all about the science here, right? The dependent, the independent variables, right? Let's put it to the test.
Yo, Blue, don't you know anyone at NASA? Isn't there someone you could
I
contact?
don't know anyone at NASA. No, I don't actually.
And plus, there's that human element of, oh, this person actually took the time to put.
Yeah, it just carries a lot more importance, I think.
So copying and pasting.
Yeah, but Ben, so when you write that letter, yeah, but pretend that you're like a fifth grader or something.
What?
NASA love it when kids ask science questions.
Really?
Yes.
So much.
Oh, nice.
That's great advice. Be deceptive when you're dealing with the government.
Trust me.
Maybe I should send a letter to Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse too.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
but just pretend you're like a fifth grader, all starry-eyed and what.
Yeah. No pun intended. Starry-eyed.
Hey, sir, my friends are telling me that rockets don't work in space. Can you show me one
It's
working
worth a
in
shot.
vacuum?
Exactly. Yeah.
This is nothing what I expected the server to be. I thought it was going to be a bunch of flat earthers like going back and forth with round earthers.
It is.
Bandy's a flat earther, but he's nice, not like those other people.
We're all nice. Yeah.
I was trying to find a name of someone who's in here so I could insult them, like that Jeremy.
Guys,
you know how that Jeremy is.
You guys just are like your feet being held to the fire, right? And you crack under pressure, right?
You crack under pressure?
You crack under pressure. You crack all the time, Nate. You crack all the time. Yeah. You have had to concede so many points. It's not even funny.
Yeah, but that's just me not being hard-headed. Isn't it? I mean, when I concede, it doesn't mean I agree with stand the point of view you're taking on the man.
100% it means you agree.
It sounds like a challenge.
I mean, I don't agree with you.
Presented.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't agree with you when you say that forces are pressure, but I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, no. People are pretty chilled over here. It does get wild sometimes, but
it was fun earlier.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Especially when we talk about pressure, right? You have to apply pressure to things to move things. That's when it starts to heat up a bit because
I see.
That does Nate's head in.
Yeah, Banso has this whole crazy idea that forces are all just pressure. And all types of pressures are
I don't know this guy's
pulls, right?
I don't know if you're telling
right?
me.
Is it pulls of pushes, Banso?
Pushes, 100%. I've been over this. I've been on this for years. Ask Blue. I've been on the whole.
No, I believe you. I just got here. I don't know.
For years. It ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new.
Why not explain it to the new guy, Banso?
What would you like to know? Well, the only way you can move anything is by applying a pressure to it.
Okay.
Yeah. And pretty simple. You won't move. You won't move.
Do you agree with that?
Unless there is an application of pressure.
I think it's a fair statement.
Exactly. It's an accurate
So you
statement.
feel it's not due to forces?
Well, aren't the forces applying pressure too? I mean, now we're getting a little more.
I don't know. When light moves
Me neither.
something, is light applying pressure to that thing it's moving?
Has to be. Can't do it any other way, can it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Really? We've already been through the whole light thing, Nate.
I'm open to whatever.
Yeah, we have, but I just want to see.
Does light apply pressure? That's a weird. That seems to be the implication.
It's weird, right? But we've seen. So, is it moving things through pressure, or is it moving things through something else?
I know light applies pressure to my eyeballs. Sometimes I have to squint.
What?
I'm like, ow, that's like too much light.
Yeah, but that's not. Is that pressure?
Right. It really defines. We have to define what pressure means, and to really get to the nitty gritty.
So now we want to get into definitions of what pressure is.
I know
So,
it's gonna turn to like this crazy tautological
so
bullshit.
are you gonna suggest that to apply a pressure there has to be a surface area of one touching a surface area of another?
I am not going to do that. No.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you didn't.
Well, maybe. Well, I mean, pressure is force over area, right? So maybe if an electromagnetic force is being exerted over your eyes, maybe you could. That's pressure.
Yeah, but is there such a thing as electromagnetic pressure?
I don't know. But I mean, looking at the definition of pressure is what? Force exerted over, right?
I don't know. I'm
yeah, that's even just the formula, all right? So that's pressure by definition.
That's a formula, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
the mechanics of it is something different over over the definition. The mechanism is different to the definition or the formula.
Okay, so where are we at right now? What have we discovered?
We haven't discovered anything new.
Got it.
Right?
Same. Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
The only way you can move anything is through the application of pressure
or force.
But people will actually argue that this isn't so.
But we're people, and we're not arguing about it.
No, you're not. Right? You seem very reasonable, and like you're.
Are you saying I'm not a person? Now I'm confused.
No, I said you seem very reasonable. This is our very first encounter. I'm sure at some
just
stage,
fucking with you, man. I'm just
right.
fucking with you.
It'll go pear shaped at some stage. I'm sure of it. Right, but at this particular moment, you seem very reasonable.
Thanks. You seem reasonable too.
Yeah, Bansal likes you until you start, disagreeing with him. Yeah, just watch out.
Don't you dare disagree with him.
Oh, what happens when I start disagreeing with you?
What do you disagree with? What do you disagree with?
Nothing yet, but now I'm curious. Like, what happens if I do disagree with you? What happens?
Well, I don't know. Okay, hold on. let me just check something out. What are your roles here? You're an omnivore. It doesn't
correct
really too much. So okay, so I don't know where.
Yeah,
where
I steered clear of the hot topics.
Of the hot dogs. Fair enough.
The hot topics. The disagreeable topics.
Why? This is why we are here.
Because I don't want to get into big ass argument with you.
Really?
Correct.
We can't have a discussion.
Of course, we're having a discussion right now.
Okay then. So where are you?
What?
Where are you?
What do you mean? Like,
where are you?
What does that question mean? Are you like trying to dox me or something? Do you want me to tell you?
Here I am.
Yeah. Well,
here I am.
Me personally, I'm in Cape Jervis myself, so I'll dox myself every day of the week. Everyone knows where I am. But yeah, no, where are you? Are you?
Okay.
Are you constantly running on the spot to try and maintain your spot, right?
Here we go.
To keep up with the 1,000 miles an hour rotation of the Earth? Is that what you're doing to try and
No,
keep
not at
yourself?
all. Not at all.
Okay, cool.
I just don't want to dox myself. That's all.
Okay, yeah. So you're not flying off the edge of a big blue spinning testicle? You're not doing that?
Nope.
Really?
You can't.
Why?
You can't. You can't
It's
dock yourself.
possible. I mean, it's possible that I'm rolling off the big blue spinning testicle, but I don't see any evidence or reason to believe that I am.
No.
Do you think that I am?
No, I don't. I don't feel any movement myself at all.
You're the one who brought it up.
Yeah,
yeah,
I would
exactly.
imagine we'd find some big hair somewhere.
Yeah, possibly 1 or 2. Hey, Grim, how you going?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad. So you
It's
come
the
into
hair
this
dome theory.
the hair dome, hairy dome.
Never heard of this one.
Yeah. The thumbnail theory, right? The thumbnail dome.
Also, never heard of it.
Blister boil earth.
I'd like to hear it.
Are you doxing yourself by saying what town you're in?
Who, me? No, everyone knows where I am.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Dude, if he wants to dox himself, there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't want to.
I'm a self-doxer.
Benzo lives on the edge.
I do. Come and get me, boys. Come on.
Laughs in the face of danger. Yeah, but I think Benzo just wanted to know, believe Earth a flat stationary plane or spinning ball.
Why do you think he wants to know that? Well,
So
he's
that
got his own influence. He can. You don't have to talk for him. He can talk for himself.
True.
Well, you are in a server that does discuss these kind of topics at times. At times, not all the time.
This is my first time here. I don't know.
Yes, exactly right. And I'm just trying to establish.
Oh yeah, welcome. I didn't realize that. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah, so we're trying to establish what stance you take, so we know how to attack you.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't come here to be attacked.
Well, that's all right.
Nobody ever does.
No, exactly.
Hey, we've all been through it, dude.
Oh, it's a trick. It's a trick.
No, we've all been through it. Yeah.
Don't you worry.
Like he's a flat earther. I'm a baller. This guy's over here is a freaking concave earther, and they're just like different. I got electric universe tendencies.
I don't even know what a concaver is.
Oh, they're inside.
Well, they don't either. Yeah.
Trust me.
But you
So
are
anyway,
a concaver. How do you not know what you are while declaring you're a concaver? I don't get it.
Make a stance. make a stance 40 and stick with it. All right.
Let us compartmentalize you quickly. Let's go. No.
That's all right. I'm adding notes to his file as we speak.
Okay.
Dossier is getting passed around.
I have no idea which he's talking about. Maybe me, maybe not. I don't know.
We do.
Oh, we do. Okay.
It lights up. Lights up when you squeeze it. So I think the question really is somewhere along the lines of, do you agree with the standard narrative of what we learn and everything about cosmology as it stands, or do you have any other ideas that might be more interesting or whatever?
I don't know what the standard narrative is, and B, I don't know who we is. So I really can't possibly answer that question.
Well, the standard narrative would be that you are on a big blue spinning testicle that is hurtling through space at astronomical speeds around the sun.
I've never heard the testicle part of the standard narrative before.
Well,
Yeah, that's
just
his little embellishment. He likes
yeah.
testicles, I think.
That's
His
a
little,
very unstandard narrative.
yeah, he makes a
Well,
pretty
look.
picture.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
the testicle.
He wants to say the spin, a spinning globe.
The
He just can't say the
testicle
word globe
implies
without fizzling.
Exactly. Convulsing, frothing at the mouth.
Right.
It was like that movie with the witches that couldn't say children. Children. Can't say globe. It just hurts somewhere.
I know. Yeah.
Globe.
I still don't get it, but okay.
Okay.
Well,
then.
Good.
Okay then. Are you on a spinning globe
Good.
through space? Is that better?
The heliocentric
The
narrative.
heliocentric narrative.
Okay, so there's no testicle involved in this one.
No. Well, I mean, maybe the ones on the planet Earth that we know of.
Yeah. Or inference there is.
Well, there's lots of testicles on the planet Earth.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think we went to the moon?
That's how you find out if a girl is ticklish, right?
Yes.
You give her a little testicle.
Okay.
Or do you think they went to the moon? Would that be a better statement?
That would be a far better statement. Because I know.
If you kind of.
I'm pretty sure that you and I haven't gone to the moon.
Okay. Did they? Did they?
I don't know.
You don't know. Do you think they did?
I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know. You don't think they did, or you don't think that they didn't. You just think.
I honestly don't know.
Really?
Correct.
I didn't say that you knew, right? Because
I know you
probably have
didn't.
to go there yourself to actually know. Okay.
No. If I went to the moon, that wouldn't give me any proof that they went. Right.
Okay.
Unless I landed on that spot where they stuck the flag. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know.
Or I took their vehicle.
Okay.
I'm on the moon right now, and I can't even prove it. So, whatever.
I doubt it. You want to know how I know how?
Wow, because we're getting more than a 2-second delay, less than a 2-second delay.
Correct.
I knew it.
I feel a slight Slick James in.
Ooh.
What's a Slick?
I like Slick James. I like Slick.
Yeah,
He's a nice guy, man.
He was
on the real.
Cat. He was a cool cat for sure.
We bumped heads for like a year though.
Yeah. Everyone.
Yeah. Until I realized what he was doing. I when we could avoid that part of the conversation, we got along well.
Yeah.
But when people would come in, he would get the audience. He would start that shit in again, and they were like, "Oh, damn it, we just lost him. He's back to his role." Yeah.
Experience.
The audience.
Experience. I haven't experienced it.
Yeah, he doesn't believe anything. I'm like, well, you have knowledge, right? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, well, then you have to have a belief structure to have knowledge. And he's like, no, I experienced.
Shit, that's right.
Yeah.
He would run a room round in circles for hours, that guy.
Well, I checkmate. That's checkmate what I said to him. He just doesn't know that it is, and he keeps moving around.
Sorry, Blue?
Whatever happened to Slick James?
Are you guys still friends with Slick James?
He's still around.
Cool. He is?
Yes, he is.
Where?
Just not in voice. He was on a video. I watched a video and he was in one of the comments, and he and I went backwards and forwards for a few times. And
what did you guys go backwards and forwards about?
I can't remember now.
Oh, okay.
Experience, knowledge, true belief.
It was something like that, and I went.
Of course it was. That's his one trick, Tony.
Yeah.
I didn't let on that we'd chatted before.
Does China exist? I don't know. I haven't been
I
there.
don't believe anything. I experience.
I don't
I
believe
know.
China exists at all.
You just do that over and over again.
This is crazy.
I've been to China. I know China exists. I've been there.
Yeah.
That's what you believe.
I believe I've been there. Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's what you believe. I don't believe anything. He would never say. He would have never have done what you just did there, admitting to believing anything.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, Slick James.
Oh, okay.
I think he dropped out of the VCs because his parole officer told him that it was triggering him in some
Why do you think that?
unpleasant ways.
I'll
fuck you up right now. Oh, have you ever seen him blow up yet? I
As
got
a
him
parole
to do it.
officer, or are you just gloating?
No, I made that up. No,
Okay.
I'm playing like he looking at him. He strikes you as somebody who might have some
I've
issues
never met
with
the guy.
just
I
getting
don't
out of
fucking
prison.
know. You guys
All
brought him
swolled
up.
up like he just got out of prison, just be weightlifting.
I don't know if you saw Blue, but I can't remember which video it was. But I actually commended you on the fine woodwork that you did on that pseudoscience of an experiment which you tried to replicate.
Oh, I did see that. That was actually very well put together. I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think.
No, for me, it's a compliment. I don't know where it's going for Bandy. The woodwork part, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I definitely zoomed in and took note. Some of the pictures that you'd posted in your server. It's
Some good notch work.
You've done a really good job with it, Blue. Really good. You should be proud of yourself. It's just a shame that it's wasted on pseudoscience. But anyway.
I know. I hear that all the time.
Backhanded complimenter.
Are you guys still streaming this shit?
Yeah.
All day.
Of course we are.
Funny.
Of course we are.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Bandy. I appreciate that.
No, you're right, mate. You're right. No. You did some magnificent work.
I had a lot of fun doing that thing. That was
the university will get a lot of use out of indoctrinating their students with it. But
yes, absolutely. That's part of the deception all the way around.
The grander plan. Oh, I know. I'm onto you, Blue. I'm onto you.
I knew. I knew that in one fell swoop I could, irritate the shit out of a lot of people on YouTube, and in the future indoctrinate all kinds of kids. So that was part of it.
Look, you got to do your bit, right?
Yeah.
You can hold your head up high, Blue, and
I'll be visiting I'll be visiting that machine again in about 6 hours.
Did they put a little plaque on it or anything
Well,
to commemorate you?
They're waiting on me to give them the plaque to put on it.
Really, you got to supply your own.
You got to build your own plaque too. It sounds.
They'll make my own plaque. No, actually, be quite fair about it. They said, "Please just tell us what you want it to say, and we'll get the plaque made." And I said, "No, I'll take care of it."
You should just stamp your name on the balls.
Yeah. Well, it's got my name on it. It's branded in a couple of places.
There you go.
I got a branding iron I use on the woodwork pieces I make.
Nice.
My boy makes skateboards, and he's got a branding iron that he make when he makes a board. Brands it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It just burns the wood, So I've put that on there in a couple of discreet places. Not too visible, but it's identified anyway. Yeah, it needs a plaque on it though, I think.
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah, I got to get back on that mission. Yeah, we got to take it apart and move it, though. They're remodeling that lab that it's sitting in. So it's in the way, and we're going to have to take it apart and move it around. They wanted me to come help them and supervise the move, so to speak. So this will be fun. I don't have to do anything other than just stand there and say, "No, don't do that."
Yeah, that's a 9/16. Damn it.
Yeah.
No, I was using metric. Damn it, I don't remember if I was.
13 mil, you dipshit.
Yeah. Don't even get near my stuff with that crescent wrench. What are you doing?
That's a
Is
that's
that
not a crescent wrench. That's an East Tennessee socket set.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
Just
that,
strips all.
Is that metric? Is that one metric?
A crescent, that's not everything. It's just you dial it in and out, you know.
Oh,
yeah. A metric crescent wrench.
Yeah, you get a metric crescent.
It's everything.
Metric crescent wrenches. Those guys have been able to get better data than I got, which really pisses me off.
Really? That's probably because they put it right next to a big fat wall that has more mass.
It is.
They're cheaters.
More convection current, this sort of stuff moving around blue. Oh my God.
You're probably just more honest.
My excuse has been that they're able to put their target much further away than I could put mine. I was space limited, so. And the further away you put it, the more the laser moves and the more better resolution you get. So I think that's what did it. At least that's my story. Do it.
Sorry, you got a laser on it.
Yeah, to make it easy to record the measurements. That's the best thing to do.
Oh,
okay. Cavendish did it. He had to do it the hard way. Looking at the little dent on the end of the torsion balance.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to read. I did one test like that just to see what it was like. God damn. One was enough. After that, you just reflect a laser off a mirror that's sitting that's attached to the balance, and the laser moves, and you measure it very easily.
Is it enclosed blue? You have like perspex all around it? Or is it
No,
just...
no. No, it doesn't need that. The case itself is pretty much airtight. So the area that the torsion balance itself is in is not subject to any air currents. The only thing you have to be careful of, and that's what Cavendish had to watch out about, is that you don't rapidly change the temperature or unevenly heat that case. If you got one side of it hotter than the other side, you would induce some circulating air currents inside the case. And that was a concern that Cavendish had. But of course, that was 220 years ago. You didn't have any way to control the climate then. Today, that's not really an issue. I mean, the thing's sitting in a laboratory. How much does the temperature change in there? Virtually it doesn't.
Yeah, with all the air conditioning and all that sort of stuff. But
right. Yeah.
Like, what about the magnetic fields and the convection currents that can be caused by these things? How do you stop all that sort of stuff?
Well, you can't. No, you really can't. We're surrounded by a magnetic field, right?
Yeah. So how do you account for that then, Blue? Right. That actually not being in all seriousness, like how do you account for that sort of stuff not being a factor? Because even though this thing is enclosed in a case, and I get that, so it's limited to what is disturbing it. Okay.
Right.
You still have the air everywhere else. You still have the magnetic field that is influencing the air and creating these currents. And if it's moving around balls or anything for that matter, it's going to have a swirling sort of effect and then creating a slightly different pressure zone. You get what I'm saying?
Well, the magnetic field that we're sitting in is relatively constant. It's not changing.
Yeah.
And there's no movement of air that we can associate with Earth's magnetic field directly. So that would not be the problem. The problem would be if you're using a ferromagnetic type material in the torsion balance itself, then that would want to respond to Earth's magnetic field just like a compass does, right?
Well, how do we know that the Earth's atmosphere isn't affected by a magnetic field or the Earth's magnetic field? Because when it comes to the speed of light, Blue, and the speed of light being affected by a electromagnet, and this is being done and proved and measured, right? That they're not saying that the light itself is affected by it, but the medium that the light is traveling through, okay, is affected by the electromagnetic field. You can't really necessarily rule it out, even though it's very, very minute. This Cavendish experiment only moves very, very minutely. I'm not suggesting someone's standing on the side of these balls blowing it with their mouth type of thing. We're only talking about very, very minute movements, very, very slight and very, very slowly.
Well, that's the reason that it's inside that case, where air movement on the outside of the case doesn't have any effect on it. The air inside the case is perfectly still; it's not moving.
That's what I'm saying. That the magnetic field itself could be moving the air on the inside due to the magnetic field and it being dynamic in itself.
Well, there's reasons why that wouldn't happen, but without even getting into that, you can show that that's not happening simply by situating the large external masses in a neutral position where they're equidistant from the two small masses inside the case that are part of the torsion balance. And if you do that and walk away and leave the damn thing alone, it will stabilize and become stationary. So nothing's moving. You can prove to yourself that there is nothing influencing it at that point. It is sitting still. And now the only thing you do is move those large masses into close proximity to that case, and the movement starts.
Okay then.
And you can take a neodymium magnet like I did and move it all around that case and not induce any movement in the balance at all. That doesn't do a thing. But the little neodymium magnet, although it's a really strong magnet, doesn't have very much mass. So you can't really detect any change in the balance. It's only when you move those big 50-pound lead balls over there that you start seeing it.
So when you say you put a magnet up to the side of the case,
yeah,
are you saying like you just went up there and got a magnet and just went boom, kind of touched it for a couple of seconds and then moved it away to see if it moved, or did you leave it there for a length of time?
No, I've got video where I left the magnet sitting there overnight.
Okay, yeah.
Attached to the side of the case.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, you can rule all these things out. Electrostatics is something else you got to worry about.
Yeah, I'm right.
But there's a way to mitigate that too, and it's called a Faraday cage. So the inside of that thing, I found some copper foil that I could use to completely line the entire inside of that thing is lined in copper and grounded. And that gets rid of the electrostatic problems. So we've taken care of electrostatics. Every part about that is diamagnetic material. All right. There is no ferromagnetic. Everything's diamagnetic. So a diamagnetic material doesn't have an attractive property. It has a repulsive property. The balance would operate in the opposite direction if it were being influenced by a really strong magnetic field. It'll develop a reverse field. And we don't see that. It's always the attractive force that we see.
That's not necessarily true.
Okay, let's hear it.
You could have a diamagnetic material, so to speak, and it still has somewhat of an attraction to a strong magnet.
No, it doesn't.
Just YouTube.
It's repulsion. No, it doesn't.
It's not actually repulsive though. You could.
It is.
There's videos of people that have like sheets of copper and lead and whatever, and they run a magnet through it, neodymium magnet through it, and it'll slow down as a result of like I guess they call it the magnetomotive force.
Yeah, you don't understand what it's doing. That's the problem.
It's the magnet inside is basically generating an electric current, which allows it to attract and like attach a little bit to this so-called diamagnetic substance.
Now, just a moment. I didn't say that running a current through a diamagnetic material wouldn't induce a magnetic field. It has to. It absolutely is required. But that is not what goes on here.
I'm not saying you're actually running a current through. I'm saying there's an inherent current.
Dropping a magnet in the magnet through a copper tube is not doing what you think it's doing. The copper is not attracting the magnet. The magnetic field that's being generated in the copper, the electric current that's being generated in the copper by moving a magnetic field through that short-circuited ring, so to speak, is what's developing a magnetic field, and that's what the magnet is responding to, not magnetism in the copper.
What if it's not all around? Does it need to be a ring around it?
I'm not sure if it has to be or not. I got to think about that.
So you have a magnet and copper, and because of the inherent properties of the magnet, it generates an electric field that acts like attraction.
If it's moving, but only if it's moving.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the magnetic field.
In your Cavendish experiment?
It will only happen when the magnet is when you're moving a conductor in a magnetic field.
Or when you're moving
the magnetic
substance,
field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either the magnet or the substance, yeah.
Yeah. If they're stationary with respect to each other, a diamagnetic material will be repulsed by a magnet, not attracted to it.
So with Cavendish, it's not really moving that quick, but it's also not stationary. So what's the magnetic motive force in that?
It's essentially stationary.
If it was, it wouldn't be Cavendish.
Well, if you want to be pedantic about it, fine, go ahead.
No, it's not. It's not pedantism. It's being meticulous. You're saying it's not a source of error. We need to actually, we need to investigate that.
Well, I suggest you build a Cavendish and investigate it then.
Not my claim.
Not mine either.
It was just a second ago you said that, you're canceling out magnetism, you're using diamagnetic things,
Now,
which
wait a
will only
minute.
cause repulsion, there will be no attraction, so
When
on,
you ask
yada,
me a
yada.
question and I give you an answer, that's not making a claim.
No, even before I spoke, that's what you were saying.
In response to a question.
Okay, so you can't make claims when you answer something?
All right, gentlemen, I've had enough. Good night.
Hey, Blue. Catch you later.
It wasn't my intention to run him off.
Great work there, Slick.
You can't make claims in answers.
joking.
That's a new one.
Oh, well. I blame Hugh. It's all Hugh's fault.
Sorry. Wait a minute, I didn't do anything.
You always do something. I heard you earlier on. Bloody hell. How many times have you been muted today, Hugh?
0 times.
Really? Let me. Really? You want to stand by that claim?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to see. I'm going to see if this is true or not.
You can. Yeah. How can you see that? Are you in mod?
Am I a mod?
You can see it if anyone's been muted.
I can see everything, my friend.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. I have not been muted today, or not to my knowledge. I could have been and didn't know. Jeremy got sick of people interrupting and went on a bit of a muting spate.
Oh, that's fair enough too. Like we're trying to live stream, and when you got 16 people all talking at the same time, and no one yielding the mic, you gotta
I'm interested.
take.
Yeah, it was pretty hype a few hours ago.
Hmm?
All
right. It did get a little hype, like a little,
Yeah, it did get testy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were making all these radical.
I was saying radical things. Radical
right?
things about science.
Oh, science, like you
settled science is a red flag.
You know where Hugh's evidence is? It's at the bottom of a trash can on bits of screwed up paper, right? That's where his evidence is.
It's all of physics, the entire knowledge of human physics.
Right.
It's screwed up pieces of paper at the bottom of rubbish bins.
Well, pretty much, because it didn't get to the testing department at all. I'm still waiting.
They went from a concept to satellites with no steps in between.
Yeah, obviously, because you can't show them. Right? All you have are these screwed up bits of paper on the bottom of a trash can. Right?
I feel like he was getting a little bit of a kick out of saying like this inflammatory shit and watching us react.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, he does.
That's not what I do.
You are all about the passive aggressiveness, Hugh. That's what you are.
Well,
yeah. Yes.
That's a funny way of saying it. No, I decided because we've talked before, so
heaps of times.
And I get really cross, and that's why I've got this name, because I replaced it like twice. I quit Discord and I was like, I'm not going in that stupid place anymore. Talking to those stupid people, I would get all cross and bent out of shape. And then I grew up a little bit, and I thought, wait a minute, I can do that.
I can make them get cross.
Now I just come in and say something. I don't deliver. Honestly, I'm not doing it just to get reactions. I don't do that.
Well, Hugh, you were like lighting up the room and then getting surprised that people were reacting. You were like, "Oh my god, the reaction!"
It was not. Nothing I said. Literally nothing I said was designed specifically to gain a reaction. That's trolling, and I'm not trolling. If I was trolling, I'd be in gems.
No, it was just a perk of it. It was just a kick. You were saying what you were saying, but like you also enjoyed the reaction a little bit. It seemed like your goal wasn't only to be provocative, but I think you kind of you didn't stop. It was provocative.
I have self-made ideas, and I don't hear them from anyone. I think that there is settled science, and I think there is not settled science. I think
it was basically it was
flawed. Go ahead, Gio.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I don't take the side of people like Simon Dan, or people like what's the dude? Professor Dave Explains. I don't take their side because I don't agree with their methodology. I don't agree with Flat Earth. Was it Fight the Flat Earth, Craig? I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like the way they deal with people in 24/7, and I don't like the way they deal with people in GEMS. I mean, there's ways of doing it and there are ways of not doing it. And finally, I'm happy to say, find a server where, okay, we can have all that stuff, but there isn't a bunch of people shouting abuse at someone. The worst I got was from SE Montreal, and afterwards, a few minutes later, we had a perfectly fine conversation. He got a bit upset, and that's fine, but it's not a systemic belittling people, which is what you'll get from Professor Dave, or what you'll get from FTFE. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, we try to keep it fair and respectful here. So
yeah,
let's hope that continue.
I mean, I don't like being insulted. I get my feelings hurt quite easily. I like it. I won't insult you and call you whatever, and you don't do that to me, and we'll have good convo. Rakia comes in. Are you sensitive? Immediately. Yeah, I'm sensitive. Rakia comes in, he starts immediately with the insults. I'm like, okay, and so I've turned him down. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here for that.
Yeah, same.
So
absolutely.
Like when these guys get mean and shouting.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I grew up. I think I learned from this, and I grew up a little bit. But I don't say anything just to get a reaction. I'm really serious, guys. But some things I know I say just sound,
Yeah.
But again, I'll reiterate. I have a very low opinion of the medical profession because of personal experience in my family, and I think I understand why people would have the similar sort of distrust of science in general. Because if I have a distrust of the medical professional, then I think it's reasonable that people can have a distrust of science in general.
Do you have like a doctor in the family or something? And then you don't agree with their opinions on certain things?
The what? Sorry?
It sounds like you have a doctor or a medical practitioner in the family, and you don't agree with their viewpoints on certain things?
No, it was actually how one of my family members was treated by the medical profession.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it really burned me. Okay. Yeah, I could tell you the story, but
that does happen.
And so
no, it's cool. We don't have to go into it.
Yeah, and
but it's more the profession and the institutions themselves, right? Not the science behind the medicine that you don't trust. The people are who you don't trust, right?
It's a similar sort of way that you see, physicists and astrophysicists and people. They have a tendency to make these declarative statements that they know this and they know that.
Yeah.
And then you just, for example, I think it was I can't remember his name. There was a video when a very, very famous scientist was asked, "What is magnetism?" And he spent 35 minutes not answering the question. After the video, I realized, wait a minute, he has no idea what magnetism is, but he didn't want to say it. And that's a source of the distrust, I think, why scientists can get distrusted and lose trust in people lose trust in them because they'll never admit they're wrong. That type of thing. I can't remember that guy's name. Very, very famous.
Then then that answers my question. It's not.
It was Richard
Richard
Feynman.
Feynman does. Okay, I don't believe Richard Feynman doesn't know what magnetism is, but I hear what you were saying. It's not the science; it's the people and the institution that these people have created that you don't agree with, and that's understandable.
They set up science as this. Well, peer review takes care of any anomalies that ever happens, and it's absolutely flawless. Well, no.
Yeah, it's not flawless. Yeah, I totally agree.
It can't be flawless. You got people in charge of it.
That's right. Yeah, it's very flawed by definition.
Of course.
Yeah, but you do believe that most scientists and most doctors try to generally be impartial and not get their feelings involved, right? You do have these very egotistical ones that are at the top, the science educators, the ones that go out there and defend science. Yeah, they tend to live and die by it. So they do come off as pompous and egotistical, but that isn't the general everyday scientist, right?
Right. Exactly. That is exactly, you put in words exactly what I think a lot of people were probably thinking, right? I don't think the pomposity is intentional. I think it's just they get used to people talking to them as if they know everything. And so oh, yes, well, you see, they'll explain something half an hour or something, and, it's all pointless,
Yeah, that's why these YouTube scientists and these educators are not popular with the rest of the scientific community. Most people don't like getting involved with them because they bring too much spotlight, positive and negative. Like these guys are a bit too influential, and they bring this influence with them into they put science a bit too much into the mainstream.
Yeah, the science influences. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing. I really don't know. But it's the other idea that science solves all problems. That type of thing, and science is the answer.
Yeah.
And all of our problems can be solved with education and science. And again, you just
and when you see guys like Lawrence Krauss, is it Krauss? When you see guys like him, when you see him have be on these panels where they're debating religion and atheism and whatnot, that has nothing to do with science. Scientists shouldn't be doing things like that. Those are not things they should be getting involved. Debates about whether God is real, that has nothing to do with science.
I know.
So,
it's like,
how
do you propose to detect God then? I mean, why are you even talking about that? I agree with that.
Yeah.
So when you say science solves all problems, you make a statement like what sort of problems are you refer apart from say a medical thing? Like what other problems are they trying to solve?
I don't know if I know you're old enough to remember. Back in the 70s, they said there was an ice age coming, and we've got to do something. And now they're saying the world is heating up, and we've got to do something.
Oh God!
They've got all these. Yeah, they've got all these crusades and these things that they go on as if science is the answer to every human's problems. All we need is more science, and all we need is more education. And give each kid a telescope, or give each kid a microscope, and that type of idea, as if that solves human angst or depression or suicidality or gang problems. The science solves those problems.
Science isn't necessarily solving those problems; they're creating those problems, aren't they?
Yeah, so a lot of them they are.
Apparently, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's part of a grander narrative, well, that's another discussion. Global cooling, global warming now, climate change. Depending on what month it is, they tend to change their mind, and to me, it just seems like a recipe for a cash cow to tax basically the air that we breathe. This is what these things lead to, really, at the end of the day. Instead of tackling the problem head on and call it what it is and what it should be called is climate pollution, Right? These are the sort of things perhaps we should be concentrating on.
Yeah.
Instead of calling it this convoluted name of climate change, warming, or cooling, it should be called climate pollution. Right? That's exactly what it is. And
That's dead right.
yep, you can point that finger at whether it's an individual or a company.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the finger should be pointed, and maybe greater accountability be taken. Like I'm all on board. That sort of thing. All on board. The way we pollute our waterways and just general rubbish in general is horrific.
Yeah,
What it
I
does
agree.
and how we dispose of it. But I'm still trying to work out what problems science itself is actually solving with any of these things.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Apart from creating problems or panic or fear and these sorts of things, are they really solving any problems? I asked this question, about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, to someone, and they said, well, and naturally, the first place they went was over your head. Exploring Mars or, probes to the sun or whatever the case may be. Well, that's not helping me here. How is that helping me here? Let's talk about the science here on terra firma before we start going anywhere else. Shouldn't that be the priority? What science should be concentrating on?
So, Benson.
Yeah, mate.
I'm sure you're old enough to remember a time where there wasn't such a thing as a cellular or mobile phone, right? Phones were fixed to houses and certain fittings. And if you were out in public and there wasn't a payphone close by, there was no way for you to get in contact with someone during an emergency.
I'm old enough
And then through scientific
courier pigeons. Don't worry about phones. Courier pigeons.
Courier pigeons.
Yeah, and then thanks to scientific advancements, we were able to make phones you could put in your pocket and carry around with you.
And Morse code.
That's a problem solved.
Morse code, Sonny.
I call these more inventions myself. They're more inventions.
Yes, but there's no way you can invent it without the science behind it. There's no way you can make a cellular phone if you don't understand how qubit technology works. Quantum technology, quantum cryptography, and these all come from quantum mechanics.
I remember making my first phone call on it was a bag phone. It had a handset, and then it had a great big battery and a great big, bag that you carried this thing around in. And we made our first phone call on the driveway in Chicago, my wifey and I. And we were on the road. And I was like, just call your parents just for no reason. And we called them. We were on the phone for like 30 seconds, and it cost like $7. Stupid. We're like, oh, we're not doing that again.
So, when you talk quantum, Nate, right, you're talking about stuff we can't see.
Come again?
Well, the quantum level, right? I hear this thing quantum all the time. Like, is this stuff we can't see, or is it just stuff that's like really, really little?
It's stuff that's really, really little, and its underlying behavioral characteristics are different from the way matter, energy, and forces act on the macro or relativistic scale. So fundamentally, at the quantum scale, it seems the laws of nature are very counterintuitive.
Right.
Yeah. So, for example, Bandsaw, you are in a fixed location in time and space, right? That is intuitive. That is a given. It's logical that there's no way Bandsaw can be in two places at the same time. It's logical, right?
Yeah.
But in quantum mechanics, that logic.
Don't get into
in
bending
quantum mechanics.
space time, please don't.
No, I'm not getting into bending space,
Okay,
but in
okay.
quantum mechanics, that logic falls away. In quantum mechanics, it is possible for bands to be in two places at the same time.
Right. See, the whole quantum thing. I thought we were talking about atoms and the subatomic particle.
Yes.
So something even
Yeah.
to something even smaller than an atom. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay then.
The
Well, then
constituent parts of an atom.
okay then. So what's that got to do with a mobile phone?
Because it's the understanding of how these subatomic particles work that allow mobile phones to work the way they do. They rely on qubit technology. So a bit is a piece of binary information, 1 or 2.
Yep.
So it's a limited amount of information, while a qubit is a bit of information that's in a quantum state. So it can be a 1 and a 2, or a 0 and a 1. So that allows you to store more information, and it allows your application to perform more functions in a limited amount of time.
So a qubit can be 3 things at once, can it?
No, 2. 0, 1.
So,
It can be in a super. It's in a superposition. It's both at the same time.
So it's either 0 or 1, or 0 and
0
1,
and 1.
Or, yeah. All
Yes.
at the same time.
So a bit.
So, okay. So
No. Hang on.
Yeah.
A bit is 0 or 1. It's one or the other. A qubit is 0 and 1. It's both at the same time.
Okay. So what's the 0?
It's just a piece of information.
Okay then. All right. So So basically, it's like an on and off switch. Yeah.
You could kind of look at it like that. So
Yep.
you send the signal, and it has a
Yep.
path to take 0 or 1,
Yeah.
an on and off
Yes.
switch.
Yeah.
But with a qubit, it takes the on and the off switch. It goes through both.
Yes, exactly right. So, but basically, it's like an on and off switch. So, if the switch is on, it'll go this way. If the switch is off, it'll go that way. But when we're talking qubits, it doesn't matter about the switch. It'll go both ways. Is that a simple enough?
You could see it that way. Yes.
Well, it either does or it doesn't. I'm trying to understand it on a simple.
No, you are right. You are right
Okay.
to analyze it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're just so it's the path that this energy takes. Yeah. Which way
That isn't what's really happening, but for this analogy, yes, it's the path that the energy takes.
Yep. So so generally, when you're transporting energy from point A to point B, and it goes through a switch, okay, and it wants to go this particular path, generally not all the energy goes through. There is a bit of loss, right, when it's being directed somewhere else. Okay. So yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. This is the first time I've ever thought about it, actually.
Okay.
So now we're talking very small bits of energy, okay, which is information. That's all it is. So we can still call it the same thing. We can still call it energy, right? Information, energy, same. Yeah, would we agree there? It's the same thing. There's no distinguishable difference. All right. So now
for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. So now on a really small scale, all right, what we understood how energy performed on a large scale doesn't quite work on a smaller scale. So now we have this really small switch, okay, then, and we put some energy through it. We thought it went a particular way, okay, and we found out that it didn't actually act the way we thought it would act, right? Because now we're dealing with different levels of energy instead of your normal 240 volt. We're now gone down to 9 volt, or even smaller. So now the path of this energy wants to take acts slightly differently, not with the understanding that we had on a larger scale. But on the larger scale, we didn't actually have to account for this energy loss or this energy transfer. Maybe also too, when we have our switch on, switch to the left or switch to the right. If we switch to the left, a little bit of energy may have gone to the right, but it was such a small amount of energy, okay, that it didn't actually turn on that particular light globe because not enough was going through. But now we're working on a much smaller scale. That little bit of energy now makes a great deal of difference, because now that's now affecting another circuit, and now we had to work out how to account for that. Yeah.
I understand where your train of thought. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand what it is you are getting at. Yeah.
Okay then. Well, what don't you agree with? Set me straight.
This whole idea of energy loss and stuff, but I understand that within the parameters of this analogy, yes. In the real world, it isn't quite what happens, but for this analogy and the understanding you have, I think you are on the right track.
Okay, so there's no I want to get it right. So there's no energy loss whatsoever.
There might be, but it's not about the energy loss. That doesn't matter.
Well,
send a signal through wiring. There's going to be friction. Oh shit! So sorry, Ben. So hang on. Someone's calling me, man.
Yeah. We'll get back to it. Don't worry. I'll get him to concede in a minute, Hugh.
Hey, Bandit, how you doing?
Hey, there you go, buddy.
What's it?
Just keep working on it.
Yeah. That thing about that quantum computing, Bandit, just think it's like it is. It's one, it's zero, it's both at the same time. The problem they're having with it is, how do you program a computer to decipher what information? It's like you're not telling the computer anything. You're basically saying it could be red, it could be blue, or it could be none of them. And it's for the computer to decide for itself to decipher. Because there is only on and off, a 0 and a 1, as you were pointing out there.
Yeah.
So it can't be. How does the computer know which one to choose?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So it's
doesn't it? And it has to be switched.
Yeah, exactly. If it gets one bit of power, it's switched on. There's a guy over in Gem Pandas. There's a guy over in Gem Pandas. He was actually, I think he was working on quantum computing in New York or something like that. I think he was telling us, and he was saying, the had a great conversation with him, and he was saying that was a problem, and that was years ago. That's about 3 years ago. I think, about 3 years ago or something like that. But he actually worked at it. So how do you decide? It can't decipher what to do. A computer needs commands unless it's got a consciousness. It can think and rationalize and perceive things and that. So it's pie in the sky. I think. I don't think they're going to ever be able to do that unless you create a program that makes a computer aware of itself. If that sounds right or something.
When they start talking about the subatomic level, Ali, like, something smaller than an atom, like, come on, like, this is just, well, to me, they can't even see an atom at the moment.
It's like I don't know. I was talking with, I've told the story before, but I was talking to I was, moving this guy from Sweden. He was a theoretical physicist, and he was working on proton cancer treatment therapy, and he was explaining to me about about protons and stuff. And I asked him, I was a bit drunk. We were drinking whiskey and beer, so I can't really remember his answer, but I don't think he gave one. I asked him, how do you make a proton? How do you produce that? And the only thing I can think is these, like an electron or all these things, they've just got like a charge, a certain, like a bandwidth, I don't know, like hertz, vibration, or they give off a certain amount of energy. And when it goes above a certain level, then they call it a neutron or stuff like that. But it's just what you said. It's all just speculation, and it seems to work. They can control it. They know if they pump out, and I think it's how quick. I imagine it. It's like a dam, right? There's this huge built potential of electricity, for example, and they're going to discharge it through however way they do it, maybe discharge it through a bit of metal, like a radio tower. How radio waves work. But when they switch it on and off, it might have a giga electrons, the strength of it, but it's going on in the blink of an eye. So imagine you've got, like a squillion volts or electron volts just waiting for you to turn that switch on and off as quick as possible, and it just pumps out a tiny, but just like I don't know, it's like it goes on for a millionth of a second, and this in a electromagnetic field like CERN, for example, this energy packet, for want of a better description, this energy packet holds itself together and it flies round in a circle controlled, but they've, so I just think it's how quick they can switch it on and off.
On and off, and because these components are so small, Ellie, right? They can only withstand so much energy going through them, so much power, because you're going to fry them out as well, right? So, they're working in very, very quick bursts, right? Because if it was to go through it for any length of time, right, these things are going to get burnt out, all right?
They decay. That's some decaying bands, so that's exactly right. It's great analogy, because that's when they decay. So these things only last, when they interact, when they fire them through, hitting into each other. That's a weird one. I can't get my head around. But when they actually decay, when they collide, they decay for like a millionth of it, and they fly off in all different directions. And the shape that this shall we say, energy packet, the decay of the energy packet, it makes a certain shape on a computer, on the computer, and it comes out like a curve. And they say, oh, that's an electron because it moved that way. And you know what I mean? And they're trying to they've not even got enough computers to analyse the data that they get back from what do you call it? These hadron colliders. These large hadron colliders. You can go online, and they want people to actually sit and analyse it. There's trillion petabytes or petabytes or whatever the biggest bytes you can get of data to go through. They've just got numbers but there you go.
Yeah.
I used to sort of believe, not question this, shall we say. I was but fantasizing, like quantum bits and these quarks and all that kind of stuff. And then you once you sort of peel away the first layer of the newspapers, and you start actually going into it just a little bit, you begin to realise, wait a minute, you know, that doesn't match with my logic, or, you know, how I would sort of try to find out reality, because most of it's just assumptions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very even when you look at an atom on you know, the pictures that they have of them, like the one on Wikipedia for argument's sake, and it just seems to be like this purple kind of dot in the middle of a, you know, another black dot, and then grey dots type of thing. But then they have, you know, it's almost like a, I don't know, a cartoon depiction of, you know, two red balls and two purple balls kind of next to it. It doesn't
hitting off each other, and you know, transferring energy and all that kind of stuff. So they build up these, you know, images. You know, they use these images to rationalize it so they can describe it. It's just like to describe it. Look, it's, you know, imagine like this, you know, you throw a ball at the, that's exactly what a photon does when it reflects off a mirror, you know, that kind of thing. Or, you know what I mean? But it's just that way to console, you know, to put the two ideas and be able to explain it in a simple kind of way. So they imagine them as little round balls, but you've got a problem, you know, if the world's made of atoms and little things like that, you know, there must be space in between. You know, like the Greeks, they thought it was squares, blocks. I think it was Aristotle or something like that. And all different kind of funny shaped things, you know, like spikes. These mad shapes. You used to imagine that what they were, and it's not really changed. You know what I mean? But we've just science has just turned them into little balls, and then they've got their, you know, these subatomic particles, like what you were saying, quarks and gluons and muons, and you know what they call them bands? I killed myself laughing. They call them sparticles.
Spartic? No, they.
I'm not fucking. I'm not joking, man. I'm not joking. I'm telling you. See, when I heard that, I just, yeah, I just pissed myself laughing. You know, and this is what science says. There was a great conversation last night. A great conversation about. It was between was it? I think it was Hugh. Was it not Hugh? Or was it riding with? It was good. Put it this way, it was going on about. It was a baller, and he was going on. The discussion was about, you know, what proof was and all that kind of thing. And it just basically just listening from an outside perspective, it's like they just choose to believe a certain story. That's all it is, you know. And then they accept that. But all we do, only difference with us on the other side, we are not satisfied with that story. We'll accept some of the story, you know, like the stuff like televisions and computers and electricity and all that stuff that we can test ourselves. But it's like they seem to mix the, you know, actual science meaning experimentation and you know, material things that we can actually grab a hold of, to the theoretical. So they mix between the two. You know, when you have these arguments kind of thing, but it's just a difference of beliefs, and they can't accept that, or they won't accept that it's just a belief. That's all they've got, and that's all we've got in reality.
Well,
you know,
in reality, yeah. You know, they will accept the evidence that has been provided to them, right? That coincides with the story. And we believe this because of X, Y, Z evidence, and that's fine, right? Got no dramas with them, but they hate that word belief. Right? They really do hate it because then when you examine the X, Y, and Z and go, well, okay, let's see where it's come from. Like, what assumptions are there? What, this and that and the other thing. You dig a little bit deeper. There seems to be so much, Ali, that seems to have a lot of holes in it. And holes might be a bit of a harsh kind of word, but if flaws. That's a better word, Ali. Yeah, flaws. Just on how they have come to the conclusions. And there seems to be flaws in their conclusions, right? And I think that's what someone like yourself and me and many others, we go, okay, well, what about this flaw? Can this not account for that? Can that not account for this? And then they say, well, give us an alternative, right? And then to say we're talking about whatever, but someone will throw in ether, okay, and they go, well, there's nothing to back that up. Okay, then, well, what have you got to back up your dark energy or dark matter? You've got just as much to back it up. You got no more to back it up. All you do is have a mathematical equation that actually shows some body moving from position A to position B that the old equation couldn't quite account for. So now you have a U equation that actually accounts for it, and thus you have what you're going to call dark energy until you actually find out exactly what it is. But you're going to call it dark energy or dark matter because you have a mathematical equation to back it up, and that kind of seems to be the crux of a lot of things, of these mathematical equations, Ali, right? Which are made to fit the observation. Because you have the observation first, Ali, right? You first have the observation, right? If we're talking outer space, right? They've got the observation of this body not moving to the old equation that they had, right? So they already have the observation, they already see it. So now they've kind of backward engineered an equation to fit this observed body that they've already observed. Right? They haven't come up with the equation first and gone, this equation is going to fit this, that, and the other thing. They've had the observation and now they've made the equation to fit it.
Absolutely agree. It's like what they do. It's like, for example, they measure out 200 meters